5 o'clock on the dot this Thursday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, victims of the Saturday tornado outbreak can apply for federal disaster assistance. Governor Lee and President Biden agreed to an expedited major disaster declaration for 4 counties: Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner. People in those counties eligible for the federal help on top of any state assistance for housing, home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. You can do it online at disasterassistance.gov or call the 1-800 number we posted to our social media. Right now in our nation's capital, House Republicans voting unanimously to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden, a move Republicans say will allow them access to more documents as they continue to investigate the president and possible ties to his son Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings.
President Biden calling the impeachment inquiry a baseless stunt. In a statement writing, "Instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they are focused on attacking me with lies." The impeachment investigation expected to ramp up next year as the presidential race kicks into gear. 2 frontrunners under scrutiny: Biden facing a potential Senate impeachment trial and former President Donald Trump fighting multiple criminal indictments in court.
Melissa Aden reporting. Meanwhile, President Biden's son was subpoenaed to testify before House lawmakers in the impeachment inquiry against his father, but didn't, telling reporters he's willing to testify only if it is a public hearing. Right now in Tennessee, the nonprofit tax and economic policy research group Beacon Center of Tennessee, out with the 2023 Pork Report, singles out a property tax increase in Rutherford County and encourages state lawmakers to action.
The report says that Rutherford, Greene, and Lincoln counties have all seen significant increases in property taxes. Lincoln County raised their property taxes by 37%. The largest increase cited in this report was just outside Chattanooga, where Red Bank raised property taxes 52%. The Beacon Center suggests state lawmakers offer the same protections to Tennesseans that 46 other states offer their residents: property tax caps. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Rutherford County's property tax went up 16%, which breaks down to about $21 more a month for a $400,000 home. County commissioners taking up a new way to pay for all that growth at today's meeting: impact fees. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Daria Albinger.
Stocks soared on the latest announcement from the Fed. The Dow closed up 512 points at a record 37,090. The Nasdaq added 201 for the session, and the S&P added 63. Adobe Analytics among the companies announcing after the close its latest numbers beating analysts' expectations. The Federal Reserve opted as expected to leave a key interest rate unchanged as it adjourned its final meeting of the year. Chair Jerome Powell also signaled they could make 3 quarter-point cuts to the benchmark rate in the new year. Rate cuts can relax pressure on the economy by lowering borrowing costs, and they can boost prices for all kinds of investments. Tesla is recalling more than 2 million vehicles, nearly all it sold in the U.S., to fix a defective system which is supposed to make sure drivers are paying attention when they use autopilot. The recall comes after a 2-year investigation into a series of crashes, some of them deadly.
All right, checking futures ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 98, S&P 15, NASDAQ up 74. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
5:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends, along with Ken Weaver, Mason Fleming in for Johnny B this morning. Man, do we have a lot going on. I've got some great audio from Jonathan Turley, James Comer as well. Everyone responding and reacting to Hunter Biden and this stunt that he pulled yesterday. You know, one of the things that I find fascinating, and all of this sort of developed and unfolded right in the middle of the Gang of Four Amigos yesterday when Hunter shows up on Capitol Hill outside of the Senate building, by the way, not where the Congress is, the House of Representatives is, but the Senate. And he's out there and he's, talking about how he is innocent. He's nothing but an addict. He's a victim and all of these other things that are going on. And we aired some of that live as it happened yesterday. But Washington, D.C. has really been turned on its ear with all of this. Now, you have reaction again from James Comer. A lot of the Republicans are reacting to what happened yesterday. Jonathan Turley, I've got some great audio from him as well. So there is a lot to talk about. And by the way, at the end of the day, the Republicans voted to formalize the impeachment inquiry. That is, of course, one of the big news stories today. And Hunter Biden yesterday, before all of that happened, this is part of what he had to say. And I've got all kinds of debunking of what Hunter Biden had to say, because he really is, what he's doing is he's trying to defend the indefensible. Listen to part of what he said yesterday.
But I'm also here today to correct how the MAGA right has portrayed me for their political purposes. I am first and foremost a son, a father, a brother, and a husband from a loving and supportive family.
So he says that, of course, this is part of what we talked about yesterday. He says that he is a brother and a husband. And, my 2 cents on that is, and it's just so easy, friends. Well, you slept with the widow of your brother. Not quite so loving, unless you're talking about the widow. Of course, being a husband, well, he cheated on his wife. So he sits there in Hunter as he's going through all of these, defenses of himself. And it's just so easy to knock down some of the things that he said. And I don't want to go on and on about the fact that he complained that the Republicans were, going after his character. Obviously, the statement would be in response, what character?
I'm proud of my time serving on a dozen different boards of directors. And I'm proud of my efforts to forge global business relationships.
Yeah, okay. Like serving on the board of Burisma, where they admitted, remember this part of the story, and I've covered all of this. Remember that he was serving on the board of Burisma, and they literally admitted, I would say to Hunter Biden, that you were there to influence your dad, that you provided access to your father. They also, by the way, thought that you were dumb as a rock and that you were dumber than their dogs. Remember that whole conversation? And those relationships, by the way, are also known as influence peddling. And that has been, I would say, well proven by the Republicans.
For 6 years, MAGA Republicans, including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy, attacked my wife, my children, my family, and my friends.
Impugned his character, and as I said before, and we said yesterday, lack of character, that is just too easy. As far as invading his privacy, you put all of that stuff on the laptop, I would say, to Hunter Biden, and then you left it at the repair shop in Delaware. So I don't necessarily know if they invaded your privacy or if you basically destroyed any notion of privacy by leaving all of that personal stuff on that laptop computer and leaving it at the repair shop there in Delaware. And I'm not sure about the attacks on your wife and your family and your friends, but your family does include Joe Biden. And by the way, your family has also been reaping the rewards of this influence peddling that you've been engaged in. I don't know about your children. I have no idea. You know what I would say to Hunter Biden about your children? I feel sorry for your children because your children have seen a train wreck of a father. But this here is one of the big statements that he made yesterday.
My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
No, certainly not. Not as an artist. Although, remember the woman that bought all of those paintings, or a lot of those paintings from Hunter, turned out to be a big donor to Joe Biden. But I guess the big question is, how did all that money end up in his pocket? That is the bottom line. You know, he was talking about how the Republicans have been attacking his family, his friends, and so forth. Well, listen, what I would say is that your friends and your former business associates have been dishing on you. Devin Archer, to name one, your ex-wife, to name another. And they've all basically said the same thing, which is that, number one, you have no character, and number two, that you were engaged in different levels with influence peddling. And that's what Devin Archer said. Now, we can all quibble over what exactly it was that Devin Archer meant when he said that, but the bottom line is there is certainly more than enough evidence to, at the very least, open up this impeachment inquiry, which the Republicans have now done with Joe Biden. And that is what they need to do. But they also talk about Hunter Biden and others, Nancy Pelosi yesterday, of course, also talking about how there is no basis for what the Republicans did. Well, then again, how did all that money end up in his pocket? How did Joe end up at all of those meetings with business associates of Hunter Biden's? And why did you go see Joe, I would say to Hunter, after all of your overseas business trips? And why did you and he discuss and converse over fake email addresses about his speech to the Ukrainian parliament as you were involved in businesses in Ukraine that were under investigation? You see, all of these are questions that James Comer wants to ask and wanted to ask Hunter Biden, but he will not go in and testify under oath.
There's no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen.
Yeah, he says it did not happen. Well, a lot of people don't believe when you say that, Hunter, because there's a lot of evidence to the contrary. This was a weird statement.
And they have taken the light of my dad's love for me, and presented it as darkness.
Okay.
They have no shame.
Okay. Says the guy who has clearly no shame. Just look at the laptop as evidence. There's a lot more, but coming up next, I'm now going to shift to the reaction from Jonathan Turley, from Joe Biden himself, and from James Comer and others as far as what Hunter Biden did, which basically he came in and he said, I'm here and I'm here to testify in front of, America and the world. Well, that's not what the subpoena was all about. The subpoena that he has now defied, this subpoena, well, that was a requirement for him to go in and testify under oath behind closed doors so that they could get some answers to the questions like, who is the big guy and why is he getting 10%? Well, that big guy is Joe, and he was getting 10%. But Hunter Biden does not want to testify under oath. 5:15, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment, WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much for your Thursday, December 14th. Appreciate you listening today. Looks like we're going to have mostly sunny skies and a high right about 59 degrees, right now 34 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hunter Biden going over, of course, all of the relevant audio as, a lot of folks are saying that they've never seen this kind of theater, if you will, in Washington, D.C. By the way, I would disagree with that assertion. We see these kinds of things all the time. But one of the things that he said, Hunter Biden talked about, was James Comer and how James Comer has been trying to destroy his life.
Here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. Well, I've chosen. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics. I'm here. I'm ready.
And with that, I'm here. I'm ready, Hunter Biden said. And then he and his lawyers got into their big black fancy SUV and they drove away. See, if he really wanted to make this a spectacle, he would have walked right into the House of Representatives and he would have said, I'm here to testify. Let's go. If he really wanted to. But instead, what he chose to do is he chose to drive away. Now, James Comer was on Sean Hannity's show last night, and he had an answer for Hunter Biden.
I think the American people saw that was a publicity stunt that went bust. We have had a credible investigation that the American people expect. They want to know what the Bidens did to receive the tens of millions of dollars from our enemies around the world, and we're going to continue to pursue the truth, and we're doing it lawfully and by the Constitution. And today, Hunter Biden got into more trouble, if that's even possible, by defying our lawful subpoena.
Yeah, and by the way, you had Cringe Jean-Pierre was asked about this whole notion of defying a subpoena. Because remember what Joe Biden said. Remember way back in, I think it was 2020 or 2021, when he was asked about defying a subpoena.
Sir, what's your message to people who defy congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the
I
Justice
do,
Department?
yes.
Yeah, okay. So Joe Biden, in that soundbite, said that people who defy subpoenas, like Hunter, should be prosecuted, should be held accountable. Well, Corinne Jean-Pierre was asked about that statement yesterday. This is what she said.
Republicans say that they have to take this vote, formalizing an impeachment inquiry, because the White House is stonewalling them. What's your response to that? The White House is stonewalling the House Republicans who have been really pushing this impeachment without any evidence, without doing this political stunt. I mean, that's what they've been doing over and over again. And we have said it. Other Republicans have said it. There's no evidence here. There's none.
So she says there's no evidence, and she also did say that President Biden, she said that, yes, he did say that, acknowledging that he said that someone who defies a subpoena should be held accountable, but then she wouldn't take that further to say anything about Hunter Biden. She said, I'm just not going to talk about that here. The other thing that she said, and you heard that in the soundbite, was that there's no evidence. Well, what I would say to that is, isn't that what the formalization of the impeachment inquiry is all about, is to build that evidence? But, you know, today is an obvious example of the Biden's family stonewalling, because you did have now Hunter Biden refusing to testify. I mean, doesn't that seem to be like the ultimate in stonewalling? It does to me. And so, yeah, for me, for Cringe Jean-Pierre to say there's no evidence, there's a lot of evidence. Whether or not she refuses to acknowledge it or believe it or accept it, well, that's on her. But to say that there's no evidence when there is a mountain of evidence, and every day we talk about the evidence, so I don't need to, feel like going through the litany of evidence yet again, because you know, and the American people know, that there is plenty of evidence, certainly enough evidence to justify what is going on. And by the way, remember, there is a difference between testifying under oath behind closed doors and doing this, big public testimony, if you will, that may not necessarily be under oath. And you've got all of these Democrats that will be able to rally around you and protect you with long-winded speeches and arguing technicalities and all of these, soapbox speeches that the Democrats would do. So that's the difference between the two. The difference is that James Comer wanted a substantive discussion and substantive questions to be answered. Hunter clearly does not want that. Now, what does Jonathan Turley have to say about all this? He was on Fox News.
But I got to tell you, even though Washington is known as a theater of the absurd, I've never seen anything like what we saw with Hunter and his lawyers today. I can't come up with a legal rationale for what they did. I mean, he effectively engaged in legal self-immolation. I mean, you had two choices today. You could go in and testify, you can appear and testify, or you go in and you don't testify. There is no third flavor on this ice cream stand. You don't get to go in front of the Senate and literally mock Congress. And people have said, well, this might not be enforceable because the vote came later. There was an impeachment inquiry going on. The Democrats started an inquiry without a formal vote. There's no requirement for a formal vote. But more importantly, the subpoena came from the Oversight Committee, which has independent subpoena authority. So in my view, he's in flagrant contempt of Congress.
That's right. I mean, listen, Jonathan Turley is a lot smarter than I am. And so is Jim Jordan. So is James Comer and a lot of these Republicans who have been calling for this testimony. And, you know, just once, I would like one of these folks on the White House press corps to say to Karine Jean-Pierre, who says there's no basis, there's no evidence. And just like I said yesterday with that joke of an interview that Nancy Pelosi gave to CNN, just have some bullet points ready as far as the evidence, like I do almost every single day, regarding the evidence against Hunter Biden. Just to see what they say, because they keep saying no evidence, no basis, yet it's there. But then they'll say, well, I don't want to talk about that here. Well, okay, but you can't on the one hand say there's no evidence, there's no basis, and then not be willing to at least hear and discuss the evidence and the basis for this impeachment inquiry. It is 5:23 on Nashville's Morning News. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news at 5:30?
Well, some Middle Tennessee tornado victims are being told they have 24 hours to vacate their homes. Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference to Russia. And some gummy bears made kids sick at school. We'll tell you why at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you very much, Ken. At 5:24, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, at 6:35, looking forward to this. I always look forward to speaking to our friends from the Heritage Foundation. Hans von Spakovsky will be joining us. I think this is a pretty big victory for Donald Trump because the Supreme Court has now agreed to hear the former president's appeal on whether or not he has presidential immunity regarding Jack Smith's investigation of him, again, regarding all of the things that transpired on January 6th. So now, basically, Jack Smith's investigation and Trump's trial has been paused until the Supreme Court has their say on whether or not Donald Trump has presidential immunity when it comes to the events of January 6th. This is a very big deal, and Hans von Spakovsky will talk about that at 6:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We really are passionate about our state. It's so beautiful, and we just want people and all Tennesseans to help us keep it that way. We really want to make sure that, our beauty, and from, west to east to even middle Tennessee, we want to make sure it's nice and clean for everyone to enjoy. I like to get people to volunteer and to get out there and keep our world clean, man. Litter's disgusting. No one likes it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, I've always said, keep Tennessee beautiful. That's kind of been, I think I found a T-shirt or something a long time ago.
It's that marketing.
Yeah.
Really good job.
It's like,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in throwing your trash out the window or when you're hunting or fishing, leaving the trash there on the bank or whatever. It's not worth it.
Currently, there are 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways at any given time in this state.
Wow.
And TDOT currently spends $23 million on picking up the litter, educating about the litter.
The Nobody Trashes Tennessee campaign, there's some great videos out there. And I was watching the litter, the lessons and the show, and get to know the Red Plastic Cup. Tell us a bit about the campaign and some of those characters. That's pretty neat.
So Red Plastic Cup, he thinks he's a movie star.
Uh-huh.
He thinks, he's just the greatest thing ever. So he started off with a talk show, and then he got a movie. And in our movie, he got, more characters, and we had experts, water quality expert was Sal, the smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And his bodyguard is Trash Watch. And if, we can go into Trash Watch a little bit too, but love Trash Watch.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, victims of the tornado outbreak are now eligible for federal assistance. President Biden gave the green light yesterday. Anyone needing assistance in 4 counties, Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties, can apply for federal help with housing, home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. Well, right now in Montgomery County, people living in a Clarksville apartment complex are scrambling to find another place to live after being told they have 24 hours to get their belongings out due to tornado damage. Latoya Outlaw telling Channel 4 the email came at the units at the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex.
They sent a mass email to people at 4:03 p.m. yesterday.
Meanwhile, a second shelter has opened for people in Clarksville at the Spring Creek Baptist Church on Trenton Road. Northeast High School still open for people. Shelters are asking for food, personal, and household items, brand new. You can also donate money to the city's website. Right now in Russia, President Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference, speaking through a translator. He says the war between Israel and Hamas and the war between Russia and Ukraine are not similar at all.
Let's see what is happening in the special military operation and in Gaza Strip, and everyone can see the difference. Nothing like that is happening in Ukraine.
Putin telling Russians 244,000 soldiers are fighting in Ukraine. Back here in the U.S., authorities in Virginia say 2 people have been arrested, facing felony charges, after 7 elementary school students experienced a reaction after eating gummies from a bag that was laced with fentanyl. Amherst County Public School Superintendent Dr. William Wells spoke at a news conference.
We need to wake up as a county and as a community to realize that these things are real, these things are happening. It's not a Richmond problem, it's not a Washington, D.C. problem, it's an Amherst County problem.
Yeah, one student apparently brought the bag of gummies to school, and 5 of those students who had them required medical attention. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yep, 5:33. Hey, Ken. Is Ken there?
Yeah, brother Dan.
I'm sitting here, and I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah,
but,
that's apparent.
Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Remember Triumph? Triumph the Insult Comic Dog?
No.
Made an appearance on The View. And I'm watching this, and he absolutely destroys Joy Behar.
Really?
I'm making sure that it must be radio friendly because it was on network television. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to play this for you folks.
They probably were not ready for that.
Oh man, it's funny. Anyway, it's all coming up on the Gang of Three Amigos featuring Mason Fleming, who decided to show up. And we'll talk about that coming up on WTN. Just in time for the holidays, DT McCall's has some great news. Their gun safes are now sales tax free. So if you have a 2A supporter in your life, maybe you, and you need a gun safe or frankly anything for your home, you've got to go to DT McCall's. But as far as gun safes go, they are Tennessee's largest Liberty gun safe dealer. They also offer free delivery and setup of those gun safes. Now, other places going to charge you up to $500 for delivery and setup, depending on size, but not DT McCall's. They deliver and set up for free. You can use your new gun safe to keep anything safe: valuables, cash, jewelry, documents, wills, deeds, and card titles. Basically, whatever you need to keep safe, they will be safe from theft or fire with a gun safe from DT McCall's. Details at dtmccalls.com. 5:39. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the Gang of Three Amigos. Ken Weaver's here. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
You'll notice, Ken, that Mason's been here for all of, it's 5:40. He got here at, basically, what was it, Mason? 4:59:30 is when you arrived?
4:59:40.
And we're already like 3 minutes late. Come on, man.
Listen, there's a lot of ads in this space here.
Listen, I'm not going to apologize for the success of this radio program.
And I don't think you should.
Thank you. A lot of people want to advertise on it, it would appear. Anyway, moving on from there.
I think we still have some time left.
No.
Yeah, let's squeeze in some more ads.
Don't tell them. Remember the joke yesterday I said about sales? We have this poinsettia. If you're not watching on the Super Talk TV, over my left shoulder, we have a poinsettia in the studio. And I made the joke that the poinsettia was there for, no more than 5 minutes, and sales came running up and they wanted to sell a sponsorship for the poinsettia.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny. We all thought that was funny.
That's
See, Mason even gave me a courtesy laugh.
That's great, though.
Sales, Ken didn't think that was funny.
I was getting ready. I thought you were going to say, and by the way, we now have a sponsor for the poinsettia.
I wonder if we could actually convince Paul Winkler or somebody like that to sponsor the poinsettia.
Probably not.
You know what? I bet you we could get a nursery. I bet you we could get a nursery. I don't think the plant people.
Yeah.
I would think we could probably get a nursery to come in and sponsor the poinsettia.
There's a greenhouse somewhere here in Middle Tennessee.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Sure. Anyway, moving on. So, Triumph by the way, Mason.
Yeah.
Ken, just so you know, I've given Mason permission to sleep as long as he wakes up to hit the traffic. Because he just got off of his other job at 2:30, had a short nap, and here he is.
Yeah, we're working hard.
If he ends up falling asleep, Ken, you or I, we're cool with him sleeping as long as he wakes up to hit the traffic.
All right.
We all good with that?
I'll wake you up, Brother Mason.
There you go.
I appreciate it. Just throw something at me there.
Yeah, I'll have to leave the newsroom to do that.
By the way, Mason, did you see the photos that I posted of myself on Facebook? I know you're young and hip, so you're not on Facebook.
I still check out Facebook. I use it to keep in
I
touch
posted
with
some
family
pictures
members.
of me with
When
hair.
he needs a good laugh.
Oh, yeah?
I posted some photos of me with hair back in my early 20s. What are you, Mason? Are you about 22, 23, something like that?
I'm 25.
All right, so someday you'll look like me, completely bald. But you know what I thought was interesting, Ken, is that when I posted those photos, all of these women are saying, oh, wow, Dan, you looked really good and handsome and adorable back then.
Past tense.
Past tense. At first I thought, oh, this is going to be nice for the old ego. Then I realized, oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you were, and back then.
You were, you was.
Anyway.
He is.
Triumph the Insult Dog.
Triumph the Insult Dog. Smokes a cigar.
Had Joy Behar in his sights.
Triumph,
Yes.
let me ask you something. I mean, the last time I saw you was at a birthday party I had last year. So,
Yes.
did you have a good time?
Oh, that was tremendous. I was at Joy Behar's 80th birthday party. I performed. Oh, what a night it was. It was open bar and open casket. Joy, you and I both got so drunk, we were fighting over who got to sniff Hillary Clinton's chair.
Okay.
Oh! You're beautiful. She still looks beautiful, doesn't she?
Yeah.
81 years old now.
Yeah.
81.
Keep saying my age.
Joy, you realize you're 81. You're old enough to run for president. And to watch The View. You're right in the demographic of The View now.
See, you'll notice that last joke where he's talking about how Joy Behar is 81. You're old enough now to watch The View. Right in that core demo.
Yeah.
Nobody laughed.
No, they didn't like it.
Little too close to home.
Well, sometimes the truth hurts.
That's exactly right. I didn't understand the sniffing of Hillary's chair, but let's move on from there.
That was a line.
I didn't know Triumph was still around.
I didn't even know who it was.
I think he was on Letterman. I think he was it on Letterman or maybe Conan O'Brien? It was
Sounds
one of
more
the,
like a Conan O'Brien type thing.
Yeah, you know what, Super Talkers, you tell me.
Yeah, you let us know, Super Talkers.
By the way, Sarah, you're asking where's JB?
Yeah, where's old brother Johnny B?
JB had a big thing last night, a big shindig with his wife.
Yes,
and
he
so,
did.
Things got so crazy that he needed to sleep in today.
Yeah. Well, I think he had to stay up until at least 8 o'clock.
Bates Nursery is, you know what? Maybe we have Bates Nursery as the unofficial sponsors of the poinsettia behind me.
That's going to be something.
Do I have a phone number for Bates Nursery?
Yeah,
No,
see if
I
you can
don't.
get the super texters to send you a phone number for them.
Oh, send me a phone number for Bates Nursery. I don't even know where they are. Where's Bates Nursery? I don't even know. Anyway, I've got more from Triumph the Insult Dog.
You're not wrong there, Triumph.
Guys,
the insult
let me ask you,
dog.
this show wasn't affected by the actors' strike, was it?
No.
No, see, that wouldn't make any sense to me because I think you're all excellent actors, like the way you four girls all act like you're interested in Alyssa's opinions.
See, Alyssa, of course, is the conservative on the bunch.
Right.
And
the quote-unquote conservative?
Yes. Well, it's a great point, Ken.
You four girls all act like you're interested in Alyssa's opinions. She likes it. That's one for the conservatives.
That's one for the conservative.
And that's the only one.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Again, what did you say, Ken? Truth hurts? By the way, apparently Triumph the Insult Dog was from Conan. Indeed.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Was from Conan. So, yeah, I that's actually pretty funny. I didn't know that the Triumph was still around, but that was actually pretty funny, as a matter of fact.
That was funny. Saturday Night Live could use him.
Saturday night. You know what Saturday Night Live could use? Cancellation letter.
You know what? My wife asked me that last night because a clip of that, infamous opening the other night came up, and my wife says, "Why are they still on? Why is Saturday Night Live even still a thing?"
Do you know what's funny about that, Ken? I don't know.
It
because
stinks.
I have not seen, because I don't stay up that late because I'm 150 years old.
Right.
But when I watch clips on YouTube, it's just not funny. Like
No,
I
it's
usually
not.
make it maybe 2 or 3 minutes in, and it's just nonsensical. I just don't get it. So
I think it's the writing, and I don't think the comedians are funny.
no, I don't think the comedians are funny at all.
Now, and here's the thing. Kenan Thompson has been funny. Kenan Thompson has been around. I think he's going on 2 decades on this show.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And back in the day, he did some really funny skits.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen him in anything funny on there in a long time. Go ahead, Mason. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I remember him when I was in high school watching SNL, and he was great. But I don't think I've ever seen anything from him recently at all remotely funny.
I just really think it's the writing. I don't think their writers are funny. And that's not even, and I'm not even saying that from, a political standpoint. They're just not funny.
Yeah, I was like, I only think I tune in every once in a while on their YouTube channel for the occasional actor that I find amusing.
Right. Yeah. The host.
Yeah. So like Pedro Pascal, I tuned in for because I find him amusing. I love a lot of his work.
Right.
And so I got to see a lot of his stuff, and I was like, I enjoyed that. But everybody else around him was.
Can I say this?
It was hard.
Go ahead. Say it, brother.
I believe that part of what's going on is comedy has changed. So Saturday Night Live, one of the things that they do is they clearly are trying to avoid, by and large, making fun of Joe Biden, and they're not really honest about what's going on in the world today.
I think you just nailed it.
Yeah, they're clearly
right there.
They're clearly partisan. You want real comedy? You look at Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. That dude is fearless. Even Jerry Seinfeld is really funny these days. And he's a lot cleaner than Dave Chappelle. They're 2 different types of comedy, but both of them are brutally honest about what's going on in the world today. And you don't find that on Saturday Night Live over the last 3 years with Joe Biden.
No.
So I think that's probably a big part of it, because when you take yourselves too seriously, and I think that's part of what's going on with Saturday Night Live,
right?
Nobody thinks you're funny.
Saturday Night Live used to make fun of Democrat presidents too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not touching Biden. And I'm telling you, that guy is a plethora of material.
It is just...
This president is a plethora of comedic material.
How many times have I opened up the show with something crazy that Biden has done?
Yeah.
What do you say, Mason?
Oh, without fail, easily. Oh, goodness. How many times? I don't think I can count it. And I've been here for only a year, and it's hitting.
Yeah.
It's hitting pretty hard.
Well, and here's the other thing. I'm also going to say this, and Mason, you can probably relate to this. Some of the funniest stuff you'll ever see is just from, content creators on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. So you have some, I mean, there's some just regular folks, just moms or whatever, and their whimsical thoughts of the day are funnier than anything you'll ever see on Saturday Night Live. So,
yeah, I mean, they were all excited about the guy who's going to be playing Donald Trump. I mean, why is there nobody playing Joe Biden who provides far more material
oh my goodness,
than the former president right now?
Yeah, I mean, with how much Trump was used on Saturday Night Live when he was president, is wild compared to now, because he was on there. I feel like Alec Baldwin was doing an impression of him every other week, essentially.
Yes.
And now there's nothing.
Well, nobody's going to touch Alec Baldwin right now.
You know what?
Yeah.
1313.
Understandable.
1313. Y'all never speak of Greg Gutfeld.
Greg Gutfeld.
You should really record it. Very funny. I love Greg Gutfeld. Like on Fox News. He is very, very good. People also are reminiscing about their favorite Saturday Night Lives. Mr. Bill was one.
Yeah, Mr. Bill.
The Samurai Sandwich Shop was another. Remember that one, Ken?
Yes.
Anyway, I'm determined not to be late. Ken, what's coming up in the news at 6 o'clock?
All right, well, believe it or not, there are tornado victims that have been given 24-hour notice to get out of their homes. We've got a full story coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. At 5:52, Dan Mandis here for Window Nation. Let me give you a phone number that is going to really improve your life. It's 866-90-NATION. 866-90-NATION, Window Nation. Now, they made my life better because they installed new windows in my basement studio, and I love those windows. And the temperature is actually a lot better down there as well, because they keep out the cold in the wintertime and they keep out the really unbearable heat in the summertime. And right now, Window Nation is offering you a fantastic deal. Your energy bills are going to be lower as well. But as far as getting those windows replaced, they're offering you 0% interest for 5 years with my friends at Window Nation. And they're also offering you 50% off of all styles of windows. Now is the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home with my friends at Window Nation. By the way, they've got a huge selection of windows as well. And don't forget that great deal. You've got 50% off of all of those styles of windows and 0% interest for 5 years. When you tell them that Dan Mandis told you to reach out, you can save thousands of dollars on your new windows and lower your energy bills as well. 866-90-NATION is the phone number. 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. 2 big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. Think about when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, victims of the tornado outbreak are now eligible for federal assistance. President Biden giving the green light yesterday. Anyone needing assistance in 4 counties, Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties, can apply for federal help with housing and home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. Also in Montgomery County, people living in a Clarksville apartment complex are scrambling to find another place to live. Channel 4's Sharon Danquah with the story of Latoya Outlaw, who survived Saturday's tornado with her son, only to learn through an email they no longer have a home.
The email said all units in the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex are unlivable. She had 24 hours to rent a U-Haul, book a storage unit, and start packing.
I've been here since 2018, and that's my whole life there. That's my whole life that you want to say that if I don't get it out, you're going to just run it over with a truck. Like, you're going to move it to where, or you're just going to destroy it.
When I called the apartment complex for answers,
if you are having an emergency,
leaving dozens rushing to pack up.
Please hang up and dial 911.
I feel like they treated me like someone who doesn't pay their rent on the first. I felt useless. What can I do? I'm homeless at this point.
Meanwhile, a second shelter is open for people in Clarksville at the Spring Creek Baptist Church on Trenton Road. Right now in our nation's capital, House Republicans have voted unanimously to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden.
President Biden calling the impeachment inquiry a baseless stunt. In a statement writing, instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they are focused on attacking me with lies. The impeachment investigation expected to ramp up next year as the presidential race kicks into gear. 2 frontrunners under scrutiny. Biden facing a potential Senate impeachment trial, and former President Donald Trump fighting multiple criminal indictments in court.
Yeah, and President Biden's son Hunter was subpoenaed to testify before House lawmakers yesterday, but didn't, telling reporters anyway he's willing to testify in public, but he's not going to do it behind closed doors. And now a congressional contempt, or rather a contempt of Congress charge is looming. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
Call it an early gift for the markets. The Federal Reserve adjourned its last meeting of 2023 by announcing it's leaving a key interest rate alone. Chair Jerome Powell signaling that inflation is cooling off enough that the central bank could cut interest rates starting in early 2024. The markets rallied on the news, the Dow closing at a new high, 37,090. The Fed's been watching the job market closely. Steady hiring has been one factor which has fueled inflation. Today we get a look at first-time jobless claims. Last week, the Labor Department said the number of people filing for benefits rose by 1,000 the week before, but is still historically low overall. If you're still doing your holiday shopping, you may be running out of time to use regular shipping to get those purchases to their destination in time for Christmas. The Postal Service says this Saturday, December 16th, is their last day for guaranteed delivery by the 25th.
All right, checking futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures up 84, S&P up 11, NASDAQ up 55. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
6:08 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. It is Thursday, December 14th. I got to tell you, Ken Weaver and Mason, I always trust the content that people send to me via social media, whatever. People send me things on the super text line all the time, 615-737-9986. I had to Google to make sure that this was a real story. And it is. Have you folks seen the video of Jill Biden? And she's got these interpretive dancers dancing around the White House and dancing around the Oval Office. And it's just creepy and weird. It's like they're interpretive dancing. I guess it's the Nutcracker.
That's what I saw it was supposed to be.
It is so incredibly bizarre. And so when I saw the story, I thought this cannot be real, because this looks like, some people made the comment, apparently the White House has gone from cocaine to acid, because that's what it looks like. People used to say that Melania's ornaments and so forth and Melania's celebrations were weird. This is straight up bizarre. So what I've done is, because they're just interpretive dancing all over the place, and people are saying that this doesn't look at all like Christmas. What this actually looks like is just a freak show. And when I looked at it, I think it looks like a freak show. So if you want to look at it and just you decide for yourself, check me out on Twitter at Dan Mandis Show. It is so bizarre. And I'm just going to tell you, it has absolutely nothing to do with Christmas. And so, again, find me on the socials, on X, at Dan Mandis Show. I tweeted it out, and I think the majority of Americans are looking at this and wondering, what in the world is going on here? It is 6:09 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up at 6:35, really looking forward to my interview with Hans von Spakovsky, one of my favorites from the Heritage Foundation. As you may or may not know, the former President Donald Trump, his legal headache is now going to go to the Supreme Court. This could be a very, very good thing for former President Donald Trump. Jack Smith's special counsel investigation has now come to a screeching halt until this whole discussion of his presidential immunity is decided at the Supreme Court level, and Hans von Spakovsky will help us sort it all out. That is coming up at 6:35 here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Coming up and throughout the radio broadcast this morning, and heading into Chris Hand at 9, Matt Murphy at noon, and Brian Wilson at 3. We'll all be talking about a number of different things. Of course, number one, and I did a deep dive into this in the 5 o'clock hour, Republicans voting to formalize the impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden. That happened yesterday. I discussed in great detail the Hunter Biden stunt, is what I will call it, outside of the Capitol buildings yesterday. We'll revisit that as well as we go on. I do want to point out, though, in a surprising twist, and by the way, you do have Republicans like James Comer and Jim Jordan saying that they will hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress, which, by the way, they should. Don't forget that Steve Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison for refusing to comply with a congressional subpoena. So if that's the case, then what about Hunter Biden? I mean, if turnabout's fair play, right? Chuck Grassley, though, I wanted to make sure that, because again, I do like to be fair and I do like to present all sides. I thought this was a surprising little twist in all of this. You know that Chuck Grassley, he is the senator from Iowa, and he has been all about investigating Hunter Biden. He has been all about investigating Joe Biden as well. He has been, really waist deep in all of this. And he was asked a question yesterday regarding Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and what did Joe Biden do that would rise to the level of an impeachment or any kind of illegality?
He said that his father was not financially involved in any way with his business. Do you accept that?
I'm going to take the same position I've taken since 2019, that all I can say is there's some indication of maybe some compromise with China particularly, but I have no evidence of it, and I'm going to just follow the facts where they are, and the facts haven't taken me to that point where I can say that the president's guilty of anything.
So that is Chuck Grassley. So you can imagine the headlines, right? The headlines all over the place. Oh, Chuck Grassley says there's no evidence of any illegality as it relates to Joe Biden. And again, I will tell you that is a little surprising to me because, again, he's been involved in this side of the case for years. But also remember that he has also said, Chuck Grassley has also said that there does need to be an impeachment inquiry. And the reason for that is because we do need to look at all of this. And so maybe if Chuck Grassley is saying that he has not seen evidence of any wrongdoing by Joe Biden, we need to be able to answer the questions. We need to be able to get the questions answered. We need to be able to ask the questions of Hunter Biden and so forth. And so I do find that interesting. That's part of why they wanted Hunter to answer these questions, to ask who the big guy is, to ask about the shell accounts, to ask about the emails with the fake names as Joe and Hunter were going back and forth, and the accusations from Tony Bobulinski and Devin Archer and so forth, regarding the influence peddling. So if Grassley says that he hasn't seen the evidence yet, okay, well, that's fine, well and good. That's why they need to have the impeachment inquiry so that they have more power to subpoena and more power to get people to come in and testify and be able to get the documents that they need. So really interesting. We'll continue to cover that story for you throughout the day. Hunter Biden's little tantrum in Washington, D.C. yesterday, the reaction to the tantrum, and all kinds of other things going on across America this morning. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. At 6:16, today's sunny, a high around 59 degrees, 34 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Thank you very much for listening, along with Ken Weaver, Mason Fleming in for JB. Rather uncomfortable conversation that happened yesterday during the White House press briefing. Peter Doocy and others asking cringe Jean-Pierre about the border.
Would you admit that the border policy, the Biden border policy so far has not worked?
What I will say is that we have known for decades, that the immigration policy the immigration system is broken. We've said that over and over again. That has been Republican administration and Democratic administration. That is not unheard of. That is what we have seen for the past couple of decades.
So here's the thing, the BS meter, man, it is just off the charts. The thing that is so frustrating about her answer that she keeps saying, by the way, the immigration system has been broken for decades. Yes, there were issues, but Joe Biden came in and took a system that was broken, and he just completely obliterated it. It's like he took a chainsaw to it, smashed it into microdust, and opened the border. So now we have record-breaking numbers month after month for the last 3 years. So you can say, well, it's always been an issue, but there is broken under Trump, where at least we had some semblance of order. And the numbers were down to, where we were under Trump to where we are today. Record-breaking. And again, it's like every day, every week, every month, more and more numbers, higher numbers, more records broken. So to sit here and obfuscate where the border is these days is, quite frankly, just silly, but it's also a blatant lie. And it means that Joe Biden is trying to skate around taking any kind of responsibility for these numbers.
The president has put forth a comprehensive immigration policy legislation on his first day to deal with this issue.
You notice, by the way, how she's getting kind of breathy? I listen to this woman so much, I'm beginning to notice that even she is getting tired of having to say the same lies over and over again. I do wonder if she actually believes her lies.
Republicans refuse. They refuse to deal with this issue. It's been almost 3 years since he put forth that legislation. So we're going to do what we can do from here, but we have said this is something that needs to be dealt with in a bipartisan way, And the BS
is abundant this morning. So just as a reminder, Karine Jean-Pierre, she keeps talking about what Biden did on day one. Now, these were executive orders. He paused the deportations for 100 days. That served as a notice and a welcome mat and literally encouraged more mass illegal immigration. Part of what he said is, listen, if you were deported under Trump, come on back. He stopped all border wall construction, Joe Biden did. He executive ordered that illegal immigrants be included in the census. I'd forgotten about this one until recently. Now, ultimately, what that means is that these blue cities are going to have more, these blue states, and these blue cities, of course, but they'll all have more representation in the House of Representatives because, remember, that's all based on population. And what that also does is say, well, you will be welcomed into America. We'll even include you in the census. Ultimately, the sign is, and the message is that they'll be given the right to vote. They'll be counted in America, even if you're illegal. And of course, he also eliminated the Remain in Mexico policy. Now, that meant that people could come into America while waiting for their immigration hearings. Remain in Mexico meant that they had to stay outside of the country while waiting for those hearings. And that's one of the things that most immigration experts say was the thing that really did open the floodgates.
About 1,000 of these illegal border crossers every day are getting away to parts unknown in the U.S. Does the president think that is a national security risk?
Here's what I'll say. One of the ways that we also have to look at this is what congressional Republicans have refused to do. They refused to support previous requests from the president. What they've asked to do actually hurts the issue, hurts the problem that we're seeing at the border. They said no to border agents. They've said no to new technology to fight fentanyl. They said no to additional troops. And they voted on eliminating 2,000 Customs and Border Patrol agents. That is what Republicans have done. The president is asking to do this in a bipartisan way, to find some compromise to deal with an issue that hasn't existed for decades now. I'm going to take one more question.
Well, listen, without rehashing the approximately 1,524 monologues that I've done on this, she keeps saying that Republicans won't come to the table on this issue when in reality they have in the House of Representatives with H.R. 2. It would, remember all the things that I just told you moments ago? What would H.R. 2 do? It would restart that Remain in Mexico policy. It would restart border wall construction. It would approve more border agents to actually, and this is the difference, friends, it would actually protect the border and not just process these illegal folks into America faster. That's the difference. Under Biden's plan, all of these agents would very simply bring all these people in, process them in quicker. Donald Trump would actually protect the border and keep people out. And by the way, H.R. 2 would also increase penalties for those who overstay their visas. And now in the news today, and I've been telling about this all week, in the news today, there is supposedly some negotiation that is going on regarding the border wall. Remember the big discussion, the conversation is whether or not Ukraine funding should be tied to the border. And that is a conversation that, of course, continues. I believe that the Republicans are right in trying to tie Ukraine funding to the border because guess what? We're protecting their border and not protecting ours. So it makes all the sense in the world. 622, Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news at 6:30?
Well, some tornado victims are being told they have less than 24 hours to vacate the premises. Got to get their stuff out because their homes are going to be demolished due to damage from Saturday's tornado outbreak. Russian President Vladimir Putin is giving his annual news conference and detailing just how many of his soldiers are in Ukraine. And a terrifying story about a kid with candy at school. Details at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 623, Nashville's Morning News. You know, just in time for the holidays, DT McCalls can help you find that perfect gift for that friend or family member who is a two-way supporter. How about a tax-free gun safe from my friends at DT McCalls? They are Tennessee's largest Liberty gun safe dealer, and they have a great deal for you right now because not only can you get that gun safe sales tax free, but you can also get free delivery and free setup. Now, some of these other places, just going to tell you, they're going to charge up to $500 for delivery and setup, depending on the size of that gun safe. But at DT McCalls, they are going to deliver and set up for free. And that's not just for gun safes. That's for everything that they sell at DT McCalls. You can, by the way, use your new gun safe to keep anything safe, whatever it might be. It can be jewelry, cash, other valuables, documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever. Your most important valuables are safe from theft or fire with a gun safe from DT McCalls. Check him out online. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out, dtmccalls.com.
We really are passionate about our state. It's so beautiful, and we just want people and all Tennesseans to help us keep it that way. We really want to make sure that, our beauty, and from, west to east to even middle Tennessee, we want to make sure it's nice and clean for everyone to enjoy. I like to get people to volunteer and to get out there and keep our world clean, man. Litter's disgusting. No one likes it.
That's right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, I've always said, keep Tennessee beautiful. That's kind of been, I think I found a T-shirt or something a long time ago.
It's that marketing.
Yeah.
Really good job.
It's like,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in throwing your trash out the window or when you're hunting or fishing, leaving the trash there on the bank or whatever. It's not worth it.
Currently, there are 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways at any given time in this state.
Wow.
And TDOT currently spends $23 million on picking up the litter, educating about the litter.
The Nobody Trashes Tennessee campaign. There's some great videos out there. And I was watching the litter lessons and the show and get to know the Red Plastic Cup. Tell us a bit about the campaign and some of those characters. That's pretty neat.
So Red Plastic Cup, he thinks he's a movie star.
Uh-huh.
He thinks, he's just the greatest thing ever. So he started off with a talk show, and then he got a movie. And in our movie, he got, more characters, and we had experts, water quality expert was Sal, the smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And his bodyguard is Trash Watch. And if, we can go into Trash Watch a little bit too, but love Trash Watch.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service.
629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Ken. You know what I just did to Mason?
I don't, Brother Dan.
I said to Mason, hey, Mason, whose show do you like working on the best? Me, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, or Brian Wilson?
Throwing Johnny's name there, too.
And Johnny, and he's kind of skating around like Corinne Jean-Pierre. Anyway. No, it's okay. It's okay. I did that intentionally. And you know what? He was actually very diplomatic. I like working with all of you for different reasons. Hey,
way to go, Brother Mason.
There you go, man.
I like working with you, Dan, because you pay me.
Not enough, according to some people. Anyway, moving right along from there.
I just appreciate the opportunities.
That's what it is.
That's what you say, Brother Mason. Way to go, Brother Mason.
At 6:35, coming up after the news, Hans von Spakovsky is going to join us. A big day legally yesterday and moving forward for President Donald Trump. Is the Supreme Court, very conservative Supreme Court, going to save the day for the former president? Details straight ahead on WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, victims of the tornado outbreak are eligible for federal assistance. President Biden giving the green light yesterday. That means anyone needing assistance in 4 counties, Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties, can apply for federal help with housing and home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. It's going to be helpful for residents of a Clarksville apartment complex. LaToya Outlaw tells Channel 4 they got an email telling them the complex was going to be demolished due to damage from tornadoes.
You've got to move your stuff. They're going to demolish everything on Thursday.
Yeah. Notice in an email, she was able to get a moving truck for her belongings, but doesn't know where she and her son will live. Meanwhile, a second shelter is open for people in Clarksville at the Spring Creek Baptist Church on Trenton Road. Russian President Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference, saying the war on Ukraine's nothing like what's happening between Israel and Hamas.
Nothing like that is happening in Ukraine, if we compare it to Gaza Strip. There are thousands of women and children. The Secretary General of the UN said that today Gaza Strip is the biggest cemetery of children in the world.
That is a translator speaking for Vladimir Putin. Putin says there are some 617,000 Russian soldiers currently in Ukraine. Here's a terrifying story about a kid who brought candy to school in Amherst County, Virginia. This student says he ate some.
He was at lunch and he had some gummies in a bag, so I asked him for some. He gave me some.
Officials say 5 fourth graders had to get medical attention. Turns out the gummies they ate were laced with fentanyl. 2 people have been arrested. And way over our heads.
This is the best meteor shower of the year, apparently. What's really cool about the Gemini is that while a lot of meteors will glow white, these glow green, which is cool.
ABC's Danny New on a roof in New York City overnight for the annual Geminids meteor shower. As many as 120 shooting stars per hour for some lucky sky watchers. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 6:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here, and years ago, it was my New Year's resolution to buy a gun and learn how to shoot. And the Glock store helped me make that happen, the Glock store in Nashville. Now, my daughter has the same idea heading into 2024. Now, we're debating in the Mandis house via text, of course, and phone calls, that she should get a Glock, but there's so many to choose from. I'm going to take her down to the Glock store and let the 2A pros help her pick one out. Now, you know my relationship with the Glock store. They've got every Glock in stock, and they've got that training as well. I did go to training at the Glock store with instructors that can also help you shoot faster, safer, and more accurate. Again, it's where I did all my training, and I loved it. Christmas is here, friends. If you need something for the 2A supporter in your life, think about the Glock store. Again, every Glock in stock. They've got a massive amount of accessories, parts, again, training as well. Check them out and tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 1930 Air Lane Drive, just minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. Glockstore.com. lung issues, congestive heart failure, asthma, arthritis, sports injuries like concussions, Lou Gehrig's disease, and autism. The Kellum Stem Cell Institute can help you with just about any issue that you may have. I want you to check them out online. KELLUM, the Kellum Stem Cell Institute.com. Dr. Ethan Kellum specializes in the harvesting of and then redeploying of your own stem cells to attack that inflammation in your body. He's going to help you heal. This is your body providing your cells and your solutions. And Dr. Ethan Kellum can help you today. And yes, they do now accept Care Credit. That phone number is 615-850-4415. Call them today for your free consultation. Mention my name, Dan Mandis, 615-850-4415. The Kellum Stem Cell Institute. Your body, your cells, your solution. .638 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of President Donald Trump's legal headaches is going to the Supreme Court. Jack Smith's special counsel investigation has come now to a screeching halt. Now, remember that Trump is charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. All of this, of course, related to January 6th, and Jack Smith and, of course, many others on the left believe that Donald Trump inspired the events of January 6th. I want to welcome on into the program Hans von Spakovsky, legal analyst with the Heritage Foundation and Nashville's Morning News, and our guest, Hans. Now, a federal judge says that this case, did say that this case could move forward. Trump appealed that decision and basically said, Trump did, that he's going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. The court has said, yes, we'll take a look at this. This will actually, I guess, Hans, bypass the federal appeals court.
Well, it's not quite that straight, Dan. What happened is Jack Smith actually is trying to Jack Smith is the one trying to bypass the appeals court. He filed a petition with the Supreme Court basically asking them to do something that is a huge violation of the rules. I'm not sure it's really ever been done. He asked them to consider, the Supreme Court, to consider taking up the issue of presidential immunity because Trump has been claiming that he can't be prosecuted, he can't be sued because he was acting in his official capacity as president. What the Supreme Court, the way they responded was they asked Trump to file a response to the request that they take up the case. So they haven't actually decided they're going to take it, but they are considering it, and they asked Trump to say, well, should we take up the case or not?
So this has never been done before, right? I mean, we're in all sorts of murky legal gray area because, one, we've never seen a president, in my opinion, under legal attack like this. That's number one. And number two, we're watching all of this play out, and every day there's updates to all of these very complicated legal wranglings. But, if the Supreme Court, knowing the makeup of the Supreme Court, do you believe that the Supreme Court will ultimately take this up? And what do you predict given the conservative makeup of the court?
Well, in some ways they're unpredictable, but what may show what they're going to do is another case that they actually did grant review of this week. and this wasn't Donald Trump, but it potentially affects him. One of the J6 defendants, so one of the people that were part of the protests who've been criminally prosecuted, he has appealed. He appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court agreed to take up his case on this issue. Remember, because you related this. One of the things that Donald Trump has been charged with is interfering with an official proceeding. Well, that's what this J6 defendant was convicted of. And he is claiming that if you look carefully at that federal statute is concerned with preventing things like witness tampering, trying to prevent a court proceeding from getting evidence. And so he's claiming that he can't be prosecuted under that statute because he was not interfering with a congressional investigation. He was not trying to prevent a congressional committee conducting investigation from getting evidence, and therefore the statute doesn't apply to him. And if the Supreme Court agrees with him, that would knock out part of the case that Jack Smith has filed against President Trump.
So knowing what we know about Jack Smith, if that part of the case against Trump is, as you say, knocked out or knocked down, then how significant would that be for the president as they try and get this whole thing completed, former president, as he is running again and they're trying to get this wrapped up as quickly as possible?
I think if that provision gets knocked out, then I actually think the president will have an easy win legally, maybe not before a jury, but legally with the Supreme Court on the other charge against him, the one that you mentioned, that he defrauded the U.S. And there's a simple reason for this. Again, Jack Smith, look, he's known as a prosecutor who goes far beyond what the law actually says. And he's been he once before was knocked back by the Supreme Court 9-0 when he went after the former Republican governor of Virginia. The Supreme Court issued a decision earlier this year in a totally unrelated case in which they basically said, if you're prosecuted under a federal fraud statute, the government has to prove that you defrauded someone of money or property. And, of course, there's no such allegation in this case. That's why I think this was an abusive indictment and one that doesn't actually hold water legally. And so I actually think that the president will win on that issue.
Just me and you talking here. Can you imagine the hysteria on the left if the Supreme Court does side with Donald Trump? I mean, pop the popcorn, man. More with Hans von Spakovsky straight ahead at 6:45. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. Today, sunny and a high around 59 degrees. Right now, 33 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hans von Spakovsky joining us from the Heritage Foundation. And, you know, I am trying to make sort of understand and make sense of all of the legal wranglings going on here with former President Donald Trump and the Jack Smith investigation. And you're right. Jack Smith has quite the reputation. And so let me ask you this as we wrap this up, as far as President Trump, former President Trump, and how he says that he does have immunity, and that is, at least right now, the core of the conversation. Based on what you know, where do legal scholars and where do you stand on whether or not the president has legal immunity here?
There's a real split of authority on this. I actually think Trump has the better of the argument because yeah, he was a candidate, but Joe Biden right now is a candidate. So does that mean that all of the actions that Joe Biden is taking, traveling around the country and doing things, aren't covered by official immunity? I don't think so. And in this particular case, I think Trump has a good argument that all the discussions that he was having with the vice president, with other individuals throughout the country, state legislators and others, that he was acting officially as president. So, look, I think he's got a good argument on it, but this is an unsettled issue. The Supreme Court has never, ever had a case like this.
I know it's going to be fun to watch, especially for somebody like you, right?
Well, it is. It's history in the making, but the implications of this for everyone in the country, quite something. This is the first time in history that a sitting president, a sitting administration, is trying to put their leading opponent in the next presidential race in jail. That's never happened ever in our history.
No, it's shocking. It's sad. It's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be intriguing to watch. But, I don't know about you, but I believe it's a travesty what is going on with former President Donald Trump. And, people, and then I want to ask you about Hunter Biden, but, people say, oh, I wish Donald Trump would quit talking about some of this stuff. Well, look what's happened to him. I mean, he was, they tried to impeach him twice, and now you've got all this going on. I understand why former President Donald Trump is a little angry. All right, very quickly, Hans von Spakovsky. Yesterday, Hunter Biden shows up in Washington, D.C., and I'm not going to play all the audio, but the real cut is this one.
My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
So, of course, a lot of people are paying attention to not only that cut, but also all these people that are saying, well, there's no basis for the impeachment inquiry. There's no basis for any of this. And, Hunter Biden refused to go in and testify behind closed doors. He is willing to go in and testify publicly in front of a very public hearing. Talk about the differences between doing this under oath behind closed doors and doing it in an open hearing.
Look, in an open hearing, each member of Congress only has 5 minutes to question you. That's not enough time when you have a witness who's constantly lying to confront him with the evidence that shows he is lying. That's why you have to do a deposition, one in which every time he lies, you can pull up the documentation you've got, the email communications, etc., that show that he's lying so that you can actually cross-examine him. You can't do that in a public hearing. And look, at this point, it doesn't really matter because even if he'd shown up for a private hearing, his lawyers, what would they have told him to do? Take the Fifth Amendment and not answer any questions. Why? Because he just got indicted.
Yep.
He just got indicted for tax evasion, for not paying almost $1.5 million in taxes. And look, what was he selling? Why was anybody paying money to this drug-addled, prostitute-obsessed man? He was selling his access to his father and other government officials. And you notice what he said. His father was not financially involved.
Yep.
That was a fallback position because there's all this evidence out there that, in fact, his father was involved. He was in on phone calls,
emails,
lunch meetings, emails. I mean, it was one thing after another. So no one should believe what Hunter Biden is trying to peddle.
Well, and let me ask you this in our final moments. You brought up the new indictment. Do you believe that the indictment he was charged with these additional charges? Do you believe that was to conveniently give him the opportunity to plead the fifth on all of these things so that Joe Biden would not ultimately be implicated as well?
Well, maybe, but this indictment, the Justice Department was embarrassed into it. Because remember, they were going to offer him the sweetheart deal of the century. He was going to get away with major tax felonies by pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanors and getting probation, no jail time.
Yep.
And the only reason that didn't happen was public outcry, public outrage, and the federal judge rejecting the deal. And that's the only reason we have this indictment. But they're so incompetent that, look, they charged him with 4 years of evading taxes. He actually evaded taxes for at least 6 years. But the special counsel, Weiss, his lawyer, they allowed the statute of limitations to run.
Yep.
So they can't charge him for those other 2 years when they had the evidence to do this years ago, and they kept avoiding doing it. Now, why does anybody think that happened? Because of who he is, the son of the president.
Always a great conversation. Hans von Spakovsky, thank you very much for joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And there's so many angles to all of these things. And I always appreciate Hans coming on and clarifying a lot of the things that are out there these days. 6:53, Ken Weaver, what's happening in the news at 7?
Well, some new victims of Saturday's tornado outbreak have emerged. They've been given 24 hours to remove belongings from their apartments. They're getting kicked out. Details at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. At 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News. Got a whole lot more straight ahead, including, yes, a lot of this audio from Hunter Biden. Some of it you've heard before. Some of you, maybe you have not. And how cringe Jean-Pierre and Joe Biden and James Comer and all these folks reacted to Hunter's little speech. All of that and a whole lot more coming up after the news at 7 on WTN. 6:53. Now get the speed you need at a great price with Xfinity Internet. Now, you know what's going on in my house with all three of us working on our computers, doing homework or radio shows. We depend on Xfinity Internet in my house, and you can too. You can get up to 5 times faster upload speeds for smoother connections on the largest gig speed network only from my friends at Xfinity. And Xfinity's gig speed internet is available to 99% of their footprint. In other words, it is fast, it is reliable, and pretty much everywhere. You can enjoy all your favorite apps all in one place with a Flex 4K streaming box. And yes, you can stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. Now, those two words really do say it all, fast and reliable. So get in touch with Xfinity and stay connected. To get started, call 1-800-XFINITY, visit Xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds. Not available in all areas. Performance may be limited by customers' device configuration.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. 2 big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. You know, think about it, when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
Awaken 180 is my solution for weight loss.
Laughing, learning, friendships. Not the words normally associated with trying to lose weight. But with Awaken 180, you're not trying. Weekly weight loss while gaining the tools to keep it off. Free support for life, friends for life. Learn how over 17,000 clients succeeded with the solution for weight loss.
Awaken 180!
Seven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, victims of the Saturday tornado outbreak in 4 counties are eligible for federal assistance for housing and home repairs, uninsured property losses, other programs. This is in Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties. That will be helpful for people getting kicked out of their apartments in Clarksville. Latoya Outlaw and her son survived the tornado. Then yesterday, she tells Channel 4 she got an email from the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex saying the building is unlivable due to storms.
You've got to move your stuff. They're going to demolish everything on Thursday.
Channel 4 says no one is picking up when they call the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex for answers. Meanwhile, Outlaw and her son are now scrambling to find somewhere to live. Right now in our nation's capital, Melissa Aden says the White House is responding to House Republicans voting unanimously to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden.
President Biden calling the impeachment inquiry a baseless stunt. In a statement writing, instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they are focused on attacking me with lies. The impeachment investigation expected to ramp up next year as the presidential race kicks into gear. Two frontrunners under scrutiny, Biden facing a potential Senate impeachment trial and former President Donald Trump fighting multiple criminal indictments in court.
President Biden's son Hunter faces a possible contempt of Congress charge for ignoring a subpoena to testify behind closed doors for House lawmakers in the impeachment inquiry against his father. Instead, Hunter Biden told reporters he's willing to testify only if it's in a public setting. Bipartisan negotiations on border policy continue in the Senate in the hopes of reaching a deal that could lead to passage of aid for Israel and Ukraine. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Senators say the talks, which now involve the Homeland Security Secretary and senior White House officials, have yielded progress in the past few days. But the challenge for these negotiators is to sell any deal they might reach to skeptics in both parties. House and Senate conservatives fear the administration won't go far enough to tighten asylum rules, and progressives worry the president might be willing to tighten them too much.
Right now in Tennessee, the nonprofit tax and economic policy research group Beacon Center of Tennessee is out with the 2023 Pork Report on government waste. It singles out property tax increases, including Rutherford County, encourages state lawmakers to act.
The report says that Rutherford, Greene, and Lincoln counties have all seen significant increases in property taxes. Lincoln County raised their property taxes by 37%. The largest increase cited in this report was just outside Chattanooga, where Red Bank raised property taxes 52%. The Beacon Center suggests state lawmakers offer the same protections to Tennesseans that 46 other states offer their residents: property tax caps. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Yeah, Rutherford County's property tax went up 16%. That breaks down to about $21 more a month for a $400,000 home. Rutherford County commissioners today will take up a new way to pay for growth, impact fees instead of property taxes. But that's going to take help from state lawmakers because for now, state law does not allow Rutherford County to impose impact fees. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 111. S&P futures up 15. NASDAQ futures up 66. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
7:09 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Nashville's Morning News for a Thursday, December 14th, and hope you're doing well. People are definitely reacting to the video. I tweeted it out. It's a video very bizarre. It is like Christmas time on acid. It is Christmas time in the Biden White House. And it's gone viral for all the wrong reasons. And I guess what they were trying to do, this was something that was put on by Jill Biden. And you've got this dance group. And they were doing interpretive dance to the Nutcracker. But, I mean, it is just creepy and weird. And it is, of course, taking America by storm, as these things tend to do. From a not so good standpoint on social media. If you want to go see it, I went ahead and I tweeted it out at Dan Mandis Show. But, you know, a little bit about this dance troupe, because there's no other way to say it, they are woke to the nth degree. And so this is what I'm seeing on Twitter. Dorrance Dance, the New York City-based dance company that performed the atrocious version of the Nutcracker Suite in the White House, has a full page on their site, on their website, dedicated to teaching white people to check their privilege. Anybody shocked by that? Anybody at all? That the Bidens would use a dance troupe to perform the Nutcracker in the White House that instructs white people to check their privilege. They also state on their website to be mindful of who or what is financially supporting the candidates you vote for, while linking their site to Black Lives Matter and an organization known as Surge, an organization dedicated to organizing white people for racial justice. So Black Lives Matter, I don't know anything about Surge, but Black Lives Matter, I mean, everybody knows that that is an organization that is incredibly corrupt. Oh, and by the way, if I'm looking at this right, it looks like some of these dancers are drag queens. I'm telling you what, man, you can't make this stuff up. So, again, if you want to see it, it's on my Twitter feed at Dan Mandis Show. Over there on X. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Have you heard about this? Just since we're, right now we're in the land of wokery. See what's going on in Boston? The mayor of Boston, you can't make this stuff up. The mayor of Boston is throwing a no white people allowed Christmas party there in Boston. And apparently she sees nothing wrong with this. Now, the obvious thing, first of all, I don't know if you've heard about this story, but what happened is somebody within the mayor's office sends the Boston City Council invitations to this party. Well, here's the problem. They send invitations to the entire city council, and I guess there's 7 or 8 of the Boston City Council who are white. And so all hell breaks loose and they have to rescind the invitations that were sent to the white people. I kid you not. That's what they did. They rescind. Well, you're white. You can't go. Can you imagine that? You get the invite. Oh, the mayor is throwing some highfalutin Christmas party. I can't wait to go. Only to have it rescinded. And then when you ask why it got rescinded, you were told it's because you're white. And everybody apparently is okay with this. Perhaps the white people are afraid to stand up and say something. So the obvious thing to say here is that what if it was a no black folks allowed, no Latino folks allowed kind of a party? Only white people were allowed. Now I would have an issue with that, of course. Any sane person would see this for what it is, which is blatant, outright racism, but not on the left. So now, of course, in Boston, and we're just finding out about this story here in the last 24 hours, There's a lot of people that are horrified at the notion of a no whites allowed Christmas party proudly put on by the mayor. And by the way, this is what she has to say for herself.
I think we've had individual conversations with everyone so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field. And I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well. So it is my intention that we can, again, be a city that lives our values and create space for all kinds of communities to come together.
Except if you're white.
This is bizarre.
The all white, the no whites allowed Christmas party, or
her response.
It's completely. She's like, oh well, it was a mistake to accidentally send the white people invitations. She's not admitting that it was a mistake to have a no whites allowed Christmas party.
Yeah, I mean. What are they going to do at the party where the whites aren't invited? I mean, she's making it sound like it is just going to be such a great time to not only party without the whites, but then later we'll party with the whites too.
If I were part of that whole scene, I would tell her just, I'm not going to go to any of your parties. And see, that's part of the thing too. Boston City Council is comprised of 6 minority and 7 white members. So the 7 white members got the invites and then had them rescinded. They say the revelation of the secret no whites holiday party drew some backlash and sent social media aflutter. You know, one of the things that I would say, well, let me take traffic, then we'll continue, because I want to bring up one other thing. 7:15, time to check the roads. From the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. $7:16 as far as your weather goes. Today it's going to be sunny, a high around 59, 34 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So you got all kinds of people on both sides of the aisle and in all skin colors that are reacting to the No Whites Allowed Christmas party put on by the mayor of Boston. I love, by the way, how she says, yeah, we're going to, celebrate. We're going to create a space to celebrate our values, is what she said. Well, okay, so your values clearly include not inviting white folks to Christmas parties.
Isn't that racist?
Well, of course it's racist.
And segregation?
Yes. City Councilor Frank Baker, a white Democrat, bashed the move as unfortunate and divisive, but stressed that it didn't affect him personally, saying, I don't really get offended too easily. Baker telling the Boston Herald, to offend me, you're going to have to do much more than not invite me to a party. He says, I find it unfortunate that with the temperature the way that it is, that we would further that division, Baker said. However, Councilor Brian Worrell, a black Democrat who is seemingly poised to become the vice president of the council next term, argued that there wasn't anything out of the ordinary about the party. He says, we make space and spaces for all kinds of specific groups in the city and city government. Okay, I'd like to call for an all-white Christmas party.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would say.
What would the reaction be to that?
Oh, they'd burn everything down.
We know what it would be. Here's the thing. Okay, so you didn't want people to know about it. This wasn't supposed to go out.
Right.
Still, though, why do you have to, as a mayor of a major United States city, why do you have to
segregate?
And I don't understand.
It's because they're woke. Well, I'm going to throw this out there too then, Ken. So if I were invited to a party where it was a whites-only party and it was specified as a whites-only party, I would not go to that party.
No.
I would tell them to stick their, racist party where the sun don't shine, right? That's what I would do. You think any of the black folks did that? Do you think any of the council members did that? Were they
council members of color?
Council members of colors, which is, are they saying, no, we're not going to go? It's clearly a racist party. No, as far as I know, they're all going.
Yeah.
Kind of sad, actually.
I wonder why white city councilors would ruin that for them. I need for her to explain why they need people of color elected only parties.
Yep. They say the elected, this is what they're calling them, by the way, Ken, elected officials of color.
Yeah, elected officials of color.
That's what they're saying.
Can't have white people at this one.
No.
But now we will have one later where everybody will be able to celebrate, but white people are not going to be able to celebrate in this one.
I so wouldn't show up to that party.
And
but
she's
you know
not
what?
explaining why.
Here's the thing. I would show up to that party, and you know what I would ask? I would ask, okay, so why wasn't I invited to the other one? I mean, that's what I would ask. And by the way, of course, you have the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. You could make the argument there. I mean, it's a piss poor argument, but you could make the argument that the Congressional Black Caucus, they're looking out for, the black people that voted for them in their districts. I suppose you could make that argument. This is just pure racism and segregation.
Absolutely it is.
But remember that even with that, with the Black Caucus in D.C., Republicans are not allowed to be in the Congressional Black Caucus.
Oh, because they're Republicans.
I know that because Byron Donalds, a black Republican, was not allowed. He's been trying since 2021, and they just give him the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
So remember that when the Democrats always preach unity, what they mean is you have to be the same skin color and the same political party to be included in their unity.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy story.
I want to see what happens with this. This is
it's already
this
happened.
Is a major U.S. city where this is happening.
Well, maybe they recall the mayor. But, Boston is so incredibly liberal and woke that I think that there's a lot of Bostonians who are fine with this, which is really sad because it is obviously racist. It is 7:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line, by the way, as you can imagine, people are going crazy on the Super Text line with this. I'll read some of those comments. 615-737-9986. Time to check with Ken Weaver and find out what's happening at 7:30.
Well, we've got some tornado victims being told they have 24 hours to remove their belongings because their apartment complex is going to be demolished. Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference, and then gummy bears made kids sick at school. We'll tell you why. Coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
4184 Ken wants to know, okay, so what if I identify as black?
I'm
Caitlin,
telling you, man.
Caitlin says, Dan, with all kinds of capital letters and exclamation points. The mayor has a white husband.
I guess he wouldn't be allowed. Or would they make an exception?
I don't know.
Amazing.
You know what, though? Some of this stuff, it doesn't amaze me anymore. I shake my head and I just talk about it. But, these kinds of things, until, generally speaking, society itself, because it's one thing if WTN Nation, we're horrified at this. We're bemused by this. We get frustrated by this stupidity. But until the entire nation recognizes this woke BS for what it is, they'll keep voting for the party that's responsible for this, and that is the Democrats. And, okay, whether it is, Joe Biden's strange as heck dance troupe that is prancing around the White House doing the Nutcracker dance, which is an abomination, with their social justice warrior background and all of those ties to this, people still vote for it. And until, by and large, the other half of the country is as horrified by these things as our half of the country, all of this BS is going to continue. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We had the presidents of the universities with their refusal to acknowledge anti-Semitism on their colleges, right? There's
Yeah.
a massive backlash on that. We have this story out of Boston. We have the White House dance troupe that has all of this social justice warrior crap that is embedded in what they do. I hope the American people, and I'm talking about this, I hope the American people, the more moderate and independent of our society, notice this, realize what it is, and think, you know what? The Republicans these days, quite frankly, simply put, seem a lot more sane. 724 WTN. Hey, if you're losing your hair and you need a simple solution that works, you want the best modern technology with top-rated physicians, you want something that's guaranteed to work. You need Advanced Hair. Now, Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to the unmatched results they produce. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair. You can address all of these with a simple one-day treatment in a calm and relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of breakthrough advanced FUE treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. Now, no one else in Nashville can offer the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair. Fix hair loss today, starting with your free consultation. And you'll also get $500 off if you move forward and if you mention my name, Dan Mandis. Call 629-348-HAIR. 629-348-HAIR. Refine your hairline with the team that has redefined hair restoration. And don't forget to ask about that Advanced Hair Guarantee. 629-348-HAIR. AdvancedHair.com.
We really are passionate about our state. It's so beautiful, and we just want people and all Tennesseans to help us keep it that way. We really want to make sure that, our beauty, and from, west to east to even middle Tennessee, we want to make sure it's nice and clean for everyone to enjoy. I like to get people to volunteer and to get out there and keep our world clean, man. Litter's disgusting. No one likes it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, I've always said, keep Tennessee beautiful. That's kind of been, I think I found a T-shirt or something a long time ago.
It's that marketing.
Yeah.
Really good job.
It's like,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in throwing your trash out the window or when you're hunting or fishing, leaving the trash there on the bank or whatever. It's not worth it.
Currently, there are 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways at any given time in this state.
Wow.
And TDOT currently spends $23 million on picking up the litter, educating about the litter.
The Nobody Trashes Tennessee campaign, there's some great videos out there. And I was watching the litter lessons and the show and get to know the red plastic cup. Tell us a bit about the campaign and some of those characters. That's pretty neat.
So Red Plastic Cup, he thinks he's a movie star. He thinks he's just the greatest thing ever. So he started off with a talk show, and then he got a movie. And in our movie, he got more characters, and we had experts, water quality expert was Sal, the smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And his bodyguard is Trash Watch. And if we can go into Trash Watch a little bit too, but love Trash Watch.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
7:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, victims of the tornado outbreak are now eligible for federal assistance. President Biden giving the green light yesterday. Anyone needing assistance in 4 counties, Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties, can apply for federal help with housing, home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. Good news for people living in a Clarksville apartment complex who are scrambling to find another place to live. After being notified, they have 24 hours to get their belongings out due to tornado damage. Latoya Outlaw telling Channel 4.
They sent a mass email to people at 4:03 p.m. yesterday.
That email said the complex is unlivable because of the storms, and it will be raised today. Meanwhile, a second shelter is open for people in Clarksville at the Spring Creek Baptist Church on Trenton Road. Right now in Russia, President Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference. Speaking through a translator, he says the war between Israel and Hamas and the war between Russia and Ukraine aren't similar at all.
Let's see what is happening in the special military operation and in Gaza Strip, and everyone can see the difference. Nothing like that is happening in Ukraine.
Putin telling Russians there are some 617,000 Russian soldiers currently in Ukraine. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan heading to Israel today for a series of high-level meetings about the war in Gaza and what can be done to free the more than 130 hostages still being held there. The U.S. and the president have been more critical of Israel's military tactics recently as the civilians in Gaza struggle to find safety. And back here in the U.S., authorities in Virginia say 2 people have been arrested on felony charges after 7 elementary school students ate gummies from a bag that was laced with fentanyl. This student says he has some.
He was at lunch and he had some gummies in a bag, so I asked him for some. He gave me some.
Yeah, officials there in Amherst County, Virginia say 5 of those 4th graders required medical attention. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 7:32, Nashville's Morning News. Great news for homeowners to start the new year. Interest rates have plunged and mortgage rates are back down from nosebleed highs. Dan Mandis here, and right now, my friends at Loan Pronto can rescue you from that 7 or 8% rate you got stuck with and save you a ton of money. If you bought or refinanced your home with a rate over 7%, now is the time to refinance and save money, even if you did it as recently as last month. Interest rates on Loan Pronto's Equity Express loans have also come down. It is a great time to get some cash out of your home and get yourself on solid footing for the new year. Now, they can get you the cash you need to wipe out those credit cards right now or get money to start that 2024 home improvement project. The bottom line, though, friends, Loan Pronto has the most competitive rates, and they can help you take advantage of this sudden drop in rates. Get your financial house in order for 2024. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-499-5780 to get started. 615-499-5780. That website is loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Love this meme, Super Talk 99.7. It's got Sam Elliott on it. Truth in memes. I always talk about truth in memes, and it says, stupid people should carry a sign to let others know they're stupid. Bottom of the meme, oh, wait, they do, with a picture of a bunch of folks with Biden-Harris signs. You know, that really is true. And by the way, you've got the president now saying, oh, the Republicans, what a waste of time they are trying to go through this impeachment inquiry. That is what the president is saying, that it is a waste of time. You know, it's fascinating because wasn't it his party? Wasn't it the Democrats that impeached Donald Trump twice? Yes, it was. And by the way, there is a lot more there when it comes to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden than they had on Donald Trump. We went through a lot of that stuff yesterday. So the more that we talk about the president's reaction as he is sitting here and saying, it is a waste of time and there's no basis for this impeachment inquiry with the Republicans as they voted to formalize that yesterday. Well, you can say that all you want, but the reality is that there is a basis for it. Now, Hunter Biden, he's the one that chose not to indulge in any kind of testimony yesterday. He should have gone in and he should have testified in front of James Comer, in front of Jim Jordan, in front of the Republicans, behind closed doors and under oath. But instead, he refused.
But I'm also here today to correct how the MAGA right has portrayed me for their political purposes. I am first and foremost a son, a father, a brother, and a husband from a loving and supportive family.
So he blaming the MAGA right. So that's now what they're going to do is they're going to blame the MAGA right. This is somehow Donald Trump's fault. And of course, you just heard the line. I'm sure that every single talk show host on WTN, maybe I'm wrong, but when this came out, when we aired this part of his little press conference live yesterday, and he said that he was a brother and a husband, loving brother and a husband and all that stuff, and everybody points out, of course I will again, that Hunter Biden slept with the widow of his brother. Not quite so loving towards the brother, but most definitely towards the widow. As far as being a husband, he cheated on his wife. So I don't know. If I'm Hunter Biden and I'm writing down, my little speech and things that I'm going to say, you might want to think about what people could say in response to the things that you said, I would say to Hunter.
I'm proud of my time serving on a dozen different boards of directors. And I'm proud of my efforts to forge global business relationships.
So, he served famously on the board of Burisma, didn't really have any kind of experience in, gas or energy or oil production. None of that. But, one of the things that is obvious is that, and I've reported this to you ad nauseum, that Burisma actually admitted the only reason why Hunter was on the board was to gain access to the Biden family name, Joe Biden, and influence. They have literally said that. And also don't forget that they felt that Hunter Biden was so dumb. How dumb was Hunter Biden? They actually felt like their dogs were smarter than Hunter Biden.
For 6 years, MAGA Republicans, including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy, attacked my wife, my children, my family, and my friends.
So, again, the lines just write themselves. Impugned his character. Really, what character? Because you have a lack of character, I would say, to Hunter Biden. Invaded his privacy. You put all of this stuff, naked photos and recordings and so forth, on a laptop computer. And then you left it at that repair shop in Delaware. So why should anyone else care about your privacy when you yourself didn't really care about your own privacy? But also, you're the son of a president. and you had business dealings with your father as the son of that vice president and now president. Now, I'm not sure about the attacks on the wife and the family and the friends. I haven't seen any of those attacks, but what I have seen is that there's a lot of people that Hunter Biden knows that are coming out and dishing on him. For example, Devin Archer, Hunter's ex-wife, and a whole bunch of other folks that, again, knew Hunter Biden. Oh, but there's more. He said that absolutely not. His dad was not involved in his business affairs.
My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
So that Chinese businessman, that's the one that was really corrupt, right? Isn't that the one that kind of disappeared, but he was really corrupt? Yeah, that is the Chinese businessman that he's talking about. And to say that Joe's not involved, well, how did all that money end up in his pocket? And why did Joe attend all of those meetings with some of his business associates or play golf with some of his business associates? Why did Hunter Biden and his business associates come see then Vice President Joe Biden when they came back from those overseas business trips? And why did you and he converse over fake email addresses about his speech to the Ukrainian parliament, among other things? In other words, all of these are questions that the Republicans wanted to ask Hunter Biden under oath behind closed doors. But Hunter wouldn't allow it. Instead, he came out to grandstand. And this is why I believe that for Joe Biden, for him to come out and say, oh, this is just a waste of time. BS. Oh, I've got more. It's 7:46. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment, WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. Sun finally out. And as far as your weather today, looks like it's going to be mostly sunny and a high of 59 right now, 34. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, going through some of the more relevant audio as Hunter Biden comes out. And he talks about how he is there, and he is there to testify in front of Congress in an open setting, in an open hearing, as opposed to what the subpoena demanded that he do, which was testify under oath behind closed doors. But this is what he had to say to James Comer.
Here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. Well, I've chosen. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics. I'm here. I'm ready.
Actually, he got in his big black SUV with a whole bunch of other folks and just drove away. That's what he did. So for Hunter Biden, I mean, this was an attempt at narrative control, but I believe that he failed, and I believe that he failed epically. Now, Jonathan Turley, he's one of my favorites. He was on Fox News, and he and a whole bunch of other legal eagles, by the way, are trying to figure out what was his game plan here. And did he actually change any minds?
But I got to tell you, even though Washington is known as a theater of the absurd, I've never seen anything like what we saw with Hunter and his lawyers today. I can't come up with a legal rationale for what they did. I mean, he effectively engaged in legal self-immolation. I mean, you had two choices today. You could go in and testify. You can appear and testify, or you go in and you don't testify. There is no third flavor on this ice cream stand. You don't get to go in front of the Senate and literally mock Congress. And people have said, well, this might not be enforceable because the vote came later. There was an impeachment inquiry going on. The Democrats started an inquiry without a formal vote. There's no requirement for a formal vote. But more importantly, the subpoena came from the Oversight Committee, which has independent subpoena authority. So in my view, he's in flagrant contempt of Congress.
Yeah, and obviously, in case you haven't gotten the idea, I very much and wholeheartedly agree with Jonathan Turley and others who say that Hunter Biden, he's supposed to go in, he's supposed to answer the questions under oath, and if he doesn't, then he should face contempt of Congress charges. And by the way, I know that you've heard this again all day yesterday. I'll go ahead and play it for you as well because, well, heck, you can't hear this enough. When Joe Biden himself was asked about all of this. He was asked in 2021 that if someone defied a congressional subpoena, should that person be prosecuted?
What's your message to people who defy congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the Justice Department?
Yes.
Yes, they should. Now, it's interesting because Cringe Jean-Pierre, she was asked about all of this, and man, she refuses to comment on any of this, aside from the fact that she says, well, but, this whole thing is without basis. BS. 7:50, Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Well, a local apartment complex is giving their tenants less than 24 hours to remove their belongings before their building is torn down. This after they survived the tornado. These stories and more at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. At 7:51, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Listen, it's going to be up in the upper 50s today, but you know what? Right around the corner, it's going to be really cold, and you need to make sure that your HVAC, your heater, is running at peak efficiency for maximum comfort. Now, I've been a Beehive member for years from my friends at Busy Bee HVAC, and so if my heater breaks down, I and you, if you're a Beehive member, will get front of the line service. So if something bad happens and everybody's heaters or air conditioners start just going down, well, guess what? You are going to get that front of the line service when you are a Beehive member. I've been a Beehive member for years. So this is the number you need to call them on the phone. 615-775-7833. Becoming a Beehive member also means you get 3 thorough maintenance services a year, including plumbing, plus no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off of all repairs. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. I've had a financial radio show on WTN for over 20 years. But before that, for about the first 10 years of my career, I worked for a big investment firm. The name of the game was selling and getting assets under management. Then I was introduced to evidence-based investing, driven by academic research and not the sales process. 2 big revelations. One was that investing in the stock market wasn't a gambling adventure. I had never thought about it that way. Think about when we invest, you're just gambling your money away and just throwing it into the casino. Well, investing in stocks is really just owning companies. And you think about some of the most successful people in the world are business owners, and you get to be a business owner when you invest in the stock market. It allows you to be part owner of the most successful companies in the world. The second had to do with how you were investing in those companies. In my former role, I was taught that my job was to use my skills to predict the future. Oh, crystal ball, what stocks or market segments are going to do best in the near future? If you listen to investing news sources and investment advisors, you'll find that making predictions is the rule rather than the exception. One recent study shows that 93% of professional managers underperformed the market over the past 15 years in their selection of large U.S. stocks. And it was over 95% that underperformed with small companies. Did you know that you could be tremendously successful as an investor without predicting the future? I believe the first step is education. However, it can't be just any education. We will help you understand what you're doing with your investments, why you're doing it, and what the basics are behind how things work. Then we make recommendations. I want you to be completely confident before you do anything. If that sounds like a winning game plan, set up a free 15-minute phone call at any of our 10 offices around Nashville. Go to paulwinkler.com to schedule a call today.
$7:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. 0200 says in relation to Hunter Biden, don't you have to have some character to have it impugned? Yes. And 2847 says that I am obsessed with Hunter Biden. I don't think I'm obsessed with Hunter Biden. I think I'm obsessed with ensuring that our president of the United States is not compromised and we follow the Constitution. 2847, but whatever. It's all good. We're all friends here, right? I think. Anyway, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. I want to tell you about my friends at Cove Generators. Now listen, some folks perhaps maybe still without power. You need to call my friends at Cove Generators. They have portable generators right now if you need one. They are experts in keeping your power on and your family safe. So be prepared this upcoming winter with a Generac home standby generator, the best generators around to keep your heat on even if your power goes out. Cove Generators are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer. Call them today and be prepared for winter and power outages. At Cove Generators, all they do is generators, so they know what they're doing, and they do it at a fair price and great customer service. Now, if you've already got a generator, call them to perform maintenance on your Generac automatic standby generator or any brand generator that you own. Here's the phone number. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, 931-559-3311, 931-559-3311. Visit covegenerators.com and never lose power again. Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
8 o'clock on the dot this Thursday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We'll run down the full forecast, give you a traffic update in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, victims of the tornado outbreak are now eligible for federal assistance. This will be in 4 counties, Davidson, Dixon, Montgomery, and Sumner counties. This is for housing and home repairs, uninsured property losses, and other programs. Meanwhile, people living in a Clarksville apartment complex are scrambling to find another place to live. Channel 4's Sharon Dankwall with the story of Latoya Outlaw, who survived Saturday's tornado with her son, only to learn through an email they no longer have a home. They're at the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex.
The email said all units in the Bluegrass Meadows apartment complex are unlivable. She had 24 hours to rent a U-Haul, book a storage unit, and start packing.
I've been here since 2018, and that's my whole life there. That's my whole life that you want to say that if I don't get it out, you're going to just run it over with a truck. Like, you're going to move it to where, or you're just going to destroy it.
When I called the apartment complex for answers,
if you are having an emergency,
leaving dozens rushing to pack up.
Please hang up and dial 911.
I feel like they treated me like someone who doesn't pay their rent on the first. I felt useless. What can I do? I'm homeless at this point.
Now, meanwhile, a second shelter has opened for people in Clarksville at the Spring Creek Baptist Church on Trenton Road. Right now in our nation's capital, House Republicans have voted unanimously to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Biden.
President Biden calling the impeachment inquiry a baseless stunt. In a statement writing, instead of doing anything to help make Americans' lives better, they are focused on attacking me with lies. The impeachment investigation expected to ramp up next year as the presidential race kicks into gear. 2 frontrunners under scrutiny. Biden facing a potential Senate impeachment trial and former President Donald Trump fighting multiple criminal indictments in court.
Biden's son, Hunter Biden, faces a possible contempt of Congress charge for skipping yesterday's closed-door deposition before House lawmakers. Right now in Tennessee, the nonprofit tax and economic policy research group Beacon Center of Tennessee is out with the 2023 Pork Report on Government Waste. It singles out tax dollars given to In-N-Out to move to Franklin, a property tax increase in Rutherford County, COVID funds used for purposes other than what they were intended.
When COVID-19 happened and schools closed, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund was set up. It was supposed to help students catch up from the learning loss that resulted during the pandemic. Some school districts were found to have used the ESSER funds for payroll purposes, including hiring new teachers or giving bonuses to faculty and administrators. And according to the report, less than 62% of the $3.5 billion given through the pandemic to Tennessee school districts was spent as of September. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
On those property tax increases, Rutherford counties went up 16%. That breaks down to about $21 more a month for a $400,000 home. Commissioners today will take up using impact fees to pay for growth rather than property taxes in Rutherford County, but that's going to take a change in state law, so they'll be working on a pitch to lawmakers, too. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 168. S&P futures up 22. NASDAQ up 64. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Believe it or not, Ken Weaver and Mason Fleming.
What's that, Brother Dan Mandis?
We're talking about the just really weird acid-induced Christmas video of Jill Biden that has gone viral.
Yeah.
Just a little weird.
So it is now the top story at the Daily Mail.
Oh, yeah?
The headline is, the second-hand embarrassment is off the charts. Jill Biden's White House Christmas video featuring New York City-based dance troupe is slammed as bizarre, freaky, and absolute garbage. Have you looked at it yet, Ken?
Yeah, I have.
This is a dance troupe that is also affiliated with Black Lives Matter and some other social justice warrior causes. They've got some, I guess, drag dancers in here as well. And it just looks weird. And so I tweeted this out, and I think I had a snarky comment. I don't remember what it was. But some purple-haired, freaky-looking woman says, "You keep up your hate, Mandis. We'll hold your feet to the fire." Okay. This person has tweeted out like 5,000 tweets and has like 56 followers.
They're obviously a bot. Some sort of bot.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, the headline as well is, so this is Christmas. Yeah, it's anyway.
Yeah, it looks like something out of Alice in Wonderland type
a freak
thing.
show. It looks like it came out of a freak show.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
I mean, the dancers are very talented. I don't know if it hits me with the Christmas spirit.
It looks weird. And I can't really put my finger on it other than that it just, it looks bizarre. I tweeted it out at Dan Mandis Show, and I guess it's become a pretty big deal because I'm seeing it's on Fox News. And by the way, the Daily Mail is certainly not conservative by any stretch of the imagination. By the way, people, somebody accused me, Ken, of, having some sort of a, man crush on Hunter Biden.
They think you got a man crush on him, huh?
I don't have a man crush. I'm not obsessed with Hunter Biden.
Just talking about him all morning for 4 hours along.
I have not. What is with you people? I have talked about like 5 or 6 other topics as well. So
yeah, we did do Three Amigos earlier, so it wasn't 4 straight hours.
I'm going to throw my pen at you. I talked about the whole thing with the dance troupe and the Biden thing.
Yeah.
I talked about illegal immigration.
Yes.
I spoke about Donald Trump and the whole Supreme Court thing going on. 3 or 4 other things that I've spoken about. But the Hunter Biden thing is a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal.
Now, when's the contempt of Congress charge coming?
I don't know. I think they got to
get together and figure out the rule for that too.
Yeah, that's right.
They've got to. That's the thing about these congressional things. They've all got to gather, put a rule together, vote on the rule, then make sure what they put together is constitutional. They got to vote on that, and then it gets issued.
Yes. Yeah, they're working on it,
and then nothing's going to happen.
That's exactly right. So
but,
anyway.
I mean, it's all, it's part of the process, and it does need to be noted. They're going through the process.
That's right. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it actually is.
And I've also spoken about, Joe Biden, the impeachment inquiry. Now, I think what's happened is people are sort of conflating the two, the impeachment inquiry with Hunter Biden and his little stunt yesterday. They're related, but they're still kind of different. You know what I mean? Anyway, whatever.
Well, Hunter Biden's not facing any charges related to foreign business dealings that his father allegedly knew about and took part in. But he is facing the separate charges for, not paying his taxes.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a gun charge.
Right.
4755.
And the gun charge, yeah.
4755. Dan and Hunter sitting in a tree. Stop it, you people. By the way, you know what somebody said? We're bagging on. That's another thing we talked about earlier. Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
Somebody
talks about how it's not funny anymore.
Somebody said the super text line is actually funnier than Saturday Night Live.
I agree with that.
I actually agree with that as well. Dave says it's a good time of year, Dan, to have warm feet because that person said that they're going to hold my feet to the fire. All right.
That sounds like a Dan Mandis joke.
That actually does sound like a Dan Mandis joke, doesn't it? Wow. 5957 says, sorry, Dan, I don't think Hunter loves you.
Yeah.
Mike H., I thought Chris Hand was your man crush. No, why do people say that? I don't understand why people keep saying that Chris Hand is some sort of man. I don't have a man crush.
He's just still new.
There's joshing with you, Brother Dan. There's joshing you.
I don't have a man crush on Josh, whoever that might be. I don't have man crushes. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that, so leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Yeah.
Joe says, but Dan, do you want to date Taylor Swift? I don't know. Would I date Taylor Swift if I were single? Probably not. Would you, Kent Mason? You're single. Would you date Taylor Swift?
I don't think she would date me at all.
No. That's not the question.
That's not the question?
Because clearly Taylor Swift would not date me either. The question was, would you, young, single Mason, would you date Taylor Swift? Yes or no?
Here's the thing. Do I benefit off the breakup album after we break up?
You know what? If she gave you some, rights to the song she would write about you,
100%. Then yes.
Why not? It might actually be. Do you get?
Wouldn't have to work another day in my life.
If you're a man, do you get street cred for actually dating Taylor Swift, or do you get mocked? That would be my question.
I don't know. That's a question for Travis Kelce here right now. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are showing up to his games that weren't football fans originally.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, Ken. Do you get street cred for dating Taylor Swift or not, or do you get mocked?
I think you get mocked.
Do you get mocked?
Yeah.
See, I don't think so.
I think you get mocked, and again, I don't think it's Travis's fault or Taylor's fault. It's just for whatever reason, man, the media is just making this a big deal.
She's also not dated the greatest people in the past, so those people get mocked for good reasons. I'm trying to think of some of the other people she's dated.
Well, you just impugned all of them, Mason, so you better come up with some names, young man.
I'm working.
You got to remember, Mason, some of them live right here in Nashville, too, I think.
Oh, really?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. She was
Every now and then they probably come to their house here and hang out.
Dan, you admitted to a man crush on Hans von Spakovsky this morning before he came on. No, I didn't. Did I, Mason? I don't think I did. Ken, why would I
don't recall that, brother Dan.
I'm not awake enough to be able to catch what you did before the interview.
7815. Steve Perry.
I don't think you got a man crush on Steve Perry. He just likes music, like his singing.
What is this whole man? Why is this suddenly a thing? Mason, do you have any man crushes on anybody?
I don't.
Ken?
No, I don't have a crush on any man.
I think Ken just is denying this a little too
shy,
too passionately. You're protesting too much, Ken. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, do we all know what? Can we all just be honest and talk? What exactly is a man crush? A man crush is a guy who you might admire his talent.
Well, let's look it up.
Yeah, look up man crush.
What is a man crush?
Because before I go any further, I might want to know what the actual definition of a man crush is.
A man crush.
8:15.
Before digging in too far,
I will tell you this: I absolutely do not have a man crush on Jack Womack. I don't. That's not an insult to Jack, but it's just he's a great guy. But
it's a friend relationship.
That's exactly right. But what I do like is that he's got traffic right now from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Sunny today, a high of 59. Right now, 36 at WTN.
All right, you want to know what a man crush is?
Well, Ken, 2639. So y'all don't have a man crush on Jesus?
No.
Again, a different relationship.
It's a completely different relationship. Anyway.
Here's what Oxford says a man crush is.
Yeah?
It's a strong feeling of liking and admiring, not usually sexual, that a man or boy has for another man or boy.
Okay, that suddenly creeped me out.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's from the Oxford Learners Dictionaries.
Got a little too technical for
Well,
my
those
taste.
people at Oxford, I mean, you know.
Now here's another one.
Yeah.
This is from dictionary.com. A man crush is an intense, non-sexual infatuation with a man that a man has with another man.
Also creepy because I don't like the word infatuation.
I think a popular one that I hear about a lot is like Ryan Reynolds, the actor, is a big one that I hear about online.
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds, just because he's
Which one is he?
He's in.
Because all these good-looking actors, they all look alike to me.
That's fair. He was in the superhero Deadpool movies.
Oh yeah,
as the
Ryan
main
Reynolds.
character.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
People are like with his comedy style, with his acting, with how like he's just an all-around good person. Everybody likes him and his relationship with his wife Blake.
Ron says, "What about Gary Sinise, Dan? Don't you have a crush on?" I don't have a man crush on anybody.
No. Now listen, Love Panky has some advice, all right? For
Okay.
folks out there who do have a man crush.
A reliable source.
Says, what should you do about a man crush? Typically nothing.
Not admit you have one.
Yeah, that. A man crush is generally harmless, and you may find that over time it eases and you start to see them as just another guy friend. Generally speaking, Love Panky says having a man crush isn't something you should worry about at all.
And I want to take the words of Love Panky.
Oh, Love Panky. Yeah. 20 signs and why it's okay to crush on the same sex.
Let's see here. 7333 says, for some reason, Dan sounded more like he has a man crush after he denied he has one. I can't win with you people. What do you mean, you people?
It's
Whatever.
a man crush, baby. Yeah, man crush.
6292 says, I have a Dan crush.
A Dan crush.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Dan crush. So somebody has a crush on me, which that's got to be a very lonely club. But
a
I
club.
think your wife's there probably.
Dan, my wife. Some days I wonder, Mason. Talk to me before you get married. That's what I told Mac. Talk to me before you get married, Mac.
Brother Mac.
Okay.
If he's here on time, of course.
Everybody knows, including the little woman at home, everybody knows I'm kidding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. I think.
You're not helping. When is Johnny coming back?
I think tomorrow.
Brother Johnny
He
B.
might need another day off.
All right. Anyway, we got to go. Brentwood Jewelry, 820 on Super Talk 99.7, WTN. Jason, I know I wanted Gary Sinise to come over and sleep over. It doesn't mean that it's a man crush. It just means I wanted to sit around, make pop and PJs and watch movies. Is that indicative of a man crush, Ken?
Pop?
Popcorn.
Oh.
I was confused right there.
I've never heard it called pop.
You guys have never heard it called pop?
Pop.
Come on, man. Even little Riker says, hey, Dan, make some pop, will you?
See, that makes a little more sense when it's coming out of a child's mouth.
Oh. Moving right along. Brentwood Jewelry. Listen, I love Brentwood Jewelry. It is where I buy all my jewelry these days. I do recommend them highly. Now, listen, Christmas time is here. I mean, if you haven't started your shopping yet and you're starting to panic, this is especially for you guys. But, you know, women are in this boat too. You can go to Brentwood Jewelry and they can help you out. They can help you out big time. Just walk into Brentwood Jewelry and tell them, Dan Mandis told me to come in. I have no idea what to buy my significant other. Please, can you help me? And they will. So think about something amazing from Brentwood Jewelry for those amazing people in your life. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Again, tell them Dan told you to reach out. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every single day for over 50 years. You can find them online, BrentwoodJewelry.com.
We really are passionate about our state. It's so beautiful, and we just want people and all Tennesseans to help us keep it that way. We really want to make sure that, our beauty, and from, west to east to even middle Tennessee, we want to make sure it's nice and clean for everyone to enjoy. I like to get people to volunteer and to get out there and keep our world clean, man. Litter's disgusting. No one likes it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, I've always said, keep Tennessee beautiful. That's kind of been, I think I found a T-shirt or something a long time ago.
It's that marketing.
Yeah.
Really good job.
It's like,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in throwing your trash out the window or when you're hunting or fishing, leaving the trash there on the bank or whatever. It's not worth it.
Currently, there are 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee roadways at any given time in this state.
Wow.
And TDOT currently spends $23 million on picking up the litter, educating about the litter.
The Nobody Trashes Tennessee campaign. There's some great videos out there. And I was watching the litter lessons and the show and get to know the red plastic cup. Tell us a bit about the campaign and some of those characters. That's pretty neat.
So Red Plastic Cup, he thinks he's a movie star. He thinks he's just the greatest thing ever. So he started off with a talk show, and then he got a movie. And in our movie, he got more characters, and we had experts, water quality expert was Sal, the smallmouth bass.
Yeah.
And his bodyguard is Trash Watch. And if we can go into Trash Watch a little bit too, but love Trash Watch.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Coming up in the news with Ken Weaver. News stories. And hopefully he'll return soon from where he was supposed to do his tease. And there's Ken right there. Ken, you want to do your tease real quick? You want to do your tease?
Sure, Dan. President Biden has dispatched National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan over to the Middle East. Russia's president says, our war with Ukraine, that's nothing like what's going on in Gaza. And then he tells everybody exactly how many Russian soldiers are in Ukraine. Got a terrifying story about a kid taking candy to school, and then interest rates aren't keeping Americans from spending. These stories and more at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the thing about that story with the gummies, Ken?
Yeah.
I'm being serious now.
Yeah?
I actually sent Amy a text, and I said, we got to tell Riker, because he loves gummies.
Uh-huh.
Tell Riker, do not share gummies with anyone. Like, if somebody says, hey, do you want some gummies? You say no.
Not even if it's your best friend.
Nope.
It's wild that we used to be afraid of razor blades in our candy, but to think of it laced with, who knows? We'll find off. Yeah, that's wild.
You're exactly right. All right, well, thank you, Ken and Mason. It is 8:28 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, if you have some people coming in, some guests for the holidays, and you're looking at your carpet and you're thinking, this needs to be cleaned, you've got to call my friends at Zero Res. They'll make sure that you get insanely clean carpets, no soap, no residue, just soft, fluffy carpets that absolutely stay clean longer. Your friends and family are going to walk in. They're going to be really impressed. And by the way, with Zero Res, your surfaces dry twice as fast. They don't use harsh chemicals, which means pure safety for your family and your pets. And right now, Zero Res has a great deal just for you. You can call it the Dan deal. Here in the month of December, heading into the holidays, 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $119, plus you get a free hallway. Again, 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $119. You're also going to get a free hallway out of the deal. $50 off of air duct cleaning as well. You can call them, tell them I told you to reach out. Get those deals, 615-535-9376. Some restrictions may apply. 615-535-9376 for Zero Res. You can also book online, ZeroResNashville.com.
$8:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Biden dispatching National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan to the Middle East as the Gaza war intensifies. His first stop was Saudi Arabia yesterday, where he sat down with the Crown Prince, an important ally as the U.S. works to prevent the Gaza war from spreading into a larger regional conflict. Today, Sullivan is meeting with Israel's prime minister, defense minister, war cabinet, and president. Russian President Vladimir Putin giving his annual news conference, saying that the war on Ukraine, nothing like what's happening between Israel and Hamas.
Nothing like that is happening in Ukraine if we compare it to Gaza Strip. There are thousands of women and children. The Secretary General of the UN said that today Gaza Strip is the biggest cemetery of children in the world.
Now, that is Putin's interpreter. Putin saying there are some 617,000 Russian soldiers currently in Ukraine. Here's a terrifying story about a kid who took candy to school in Amherst County, Virginia. This student says he ate some.
He was at lunch, and he had some gummies in a bag, so I asked him for some. He gave me some.
Well, so did 5 other 4th graders who had to get medical attention. Turns out the gummies they ate were laced with fentanyl. 2 people now facing felony charges. Money News, Dave Packer says interest rates aren't keeping Americans from spending.
It's another sign of just how strong the economy remains despite inflation and higher interest rates. The government reports retail sales rose a higher than expected 0.3% in November. Economists had expected a 0.1% decline, and sales were stronger in October than originally thought. What was reported as a 1% decline for that month has been revised upwards to a 2% increase. Take out gas and auto spending, and November retail sales numbers were even better, showing a 0.6% increase.
All right, we are 2 minutes into the trading day. Let's check the Dow. S&P and NASDAQ right now. The Dow is up 105, S&P up 26, NASDAQ up 96. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 832, the Wellness Institute of Nashville and my buddy Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Now is the time to leave the pain in 2023 and get on the right track to a pain-free 2024. Now, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they can help you do just that. So if you've been trying to get rid of that chronic pain, but you simply cannot find the right doctor, go with my doctor, Dr. Kevin Mitchell. He and his team can read your MRI and figure out what's wrong and then put you on a path to better health, even when other facilities simply can't. You want to call him, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. He is, by the way, my doctor, 615-246-5009. You can find him online. He is, by the way, in Mount Juliet, right next to Providence, the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
8:37. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy is at noon, but Chris and I were talking about crowdsourcing some funding so that he and I could fly to Boston to go to the No Whites Allowed Christmas party. If we put on blackface, do you think we'd get away with it?
I said that yesterday.
Did you?
I
Okay.
said, I think we should show up in blackface. See what happens.
You know what? I think maybe that would be something that we would do. In all seriousness, one of the things that I said was that if I got invited to an all-white Christmas party, I wouldn't go to that because it's racist. So, but somehow the Democrats in your hometown of Boston, this is the kind of place you come from, Chris Hand.
This is the kind of place I fled.
That's exactly right. Much better put. Just like me when people tell me, oh, you're from California. You're one of those fruits and nuts from California. I fled California.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Me and Dan are refugees.
That's exactly right. We are refugees. Do we get free phones from Biden?
I hope so.
Because I'm still on a 4-year-old SE.
That'd be
no,
pretty
sorry.
sweet.
You guys transferred here legally.
Yeah.
Touche.
Thank you, Mason. Anyway, there is so there's that great story.
What do you think Cumulus would do if they found out that we were throwing an all-white Christmas party?
Oh, that would not happen. That would be shut down.
They would make us take more diversity and equity training.
I think that they would walk us out without letting us clean out our desk.
That's okay, because I cleaned out my desk 4 years ago. I figured I might as well be prepared, man.
You just keep it clean.
Man, got a new phone, cleaned out your desk. You must have been on top of the world.
Winning.
So listen, when you work in radio, and by the way, I was told on day one that I wouldn't last a year.
Nice.
Coming up on 10.
That explains the motivational speech that you gave me when you hired me.
What did I say?
You're not going to last a year, don't worry.
I didn't say that.
No, I'm kidding.
It was 6 months. Anyway, so my own personal policy, and you've been a music program director before.
Yes.
Ken is and has been a news director. And I go by my personal policy is you need to be able to clean out your office in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And here at WTN, how many seconds do you think it takes to pull your keys out of the door lock and walk out? I think maybe that's 3 seconds. That's literally how long it would take for me to clean out my office.
Yeah.
I got nothing in there. Because you know what my feeling is? I'm very superstitious. Is that the second, and this happened to me, the second you personalize your office, you're gone. That's just how it's going to work.
I always remember when I started in radio, they said, remember, you're nobody until somebody fires you. All right, cool. Good to know. Thanks, guys.
You been fired?
Not yet.
No? Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, checks out.
First time for everything.
It checks out.
Ken, you been fired?
No. Well, I got fired whenever I was 19.
I don't know if we've talked about it before. I got fired from the chicken place at one time.
Yeah.
Sir Pizza and Chicken, I talked about that. I couldn't tell. Maybe you've missed the story. I couldn't tell the difference between a breast and a thigh, and they fired me. And that was, of course, in high school. That brings up all the high school jokes. Well, it makes sense because you didn't.
Checks out.
Checks out. Yeah.
I used to get fired from Dunkin' Donuts when I lived in Massachusetts, and I would go to the one directly across the street and be like, "Hey guys, I'm already trained." And they'd be like, "Can you start tomorrow?"
You got fired from one Dunkin' Donuts, and so you went to go work at another one?
20 minutes later, you could get hired at another Dunkin' Donuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They need warm bodies.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Mason, you ever been fired?
The only time I've ever actually technically been let go was because of COVID, unfortunately. I worked at a hotel. I worked over at the Omni Hotel, and I was the last employee they had. And they were like, "Unfortunately, we got to let you go because nobody's traveling."
So you got fired because of China?
Yeah. Everybody's favorite.
What was that? Oh, is that a Trump drop?
Me and Mac have a China button just in case.
Oh, do you?
China?
Just in case.
China? I love the way Trump says it.
It's the best.
All right. What story do you have? Then I've got one.
Well, I wanted to let you guys know because Super Talk TV is on Twitch. Twitch has updated their community guidelines, and now I don't know if you'd be up for it.
I saw that,
but we can get naked on Twitch as long as it's artistic.
As long as it's artistic.
Artistic nudity is now allowed on Twitch.
Okay.
Wow.
So should I even ask what exactly is artistic nudity?
It all depends.
Oh, that's good. Like the FCC.
Yeah.
We know indecency when we hear it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny, but part of it's kind of like alarming because mostly kids are on Twitch watching video game streaming.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know if I've ever even been on Twitch.
Yeah, it's usually just kids watching other kids play video games.
Well, then why would they promote nudity? Wow.
They want to corrupt our youth.
A lot of kids watch
You say checks out.
Checks out, right?
Yeah, checks out.
Yep.
So artistic nudity, is there an example? Let me ask it this way. Is there an example?
Yes, all right. So Twitch says that it will now allow the following content as long as it's properly labeled. Content that deliberately highlighted breast, buttocks, or pelvic region, even when fully clothed. Fictionalized, drawn, animated, or sculpted, fully exposed, female presenting breasts and or genitals or buttocks, regardless of gender. Body writing on female presenting breasts, and they keep saying female presenting. You notice that?
Oh,
Female presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's dudes.
That's so very. Yes, thank you.
And then
Chris.
I would just checks out. Body writing on female presenting breasts and or buttocks, regardless of gender. Erotic dances that involve disrobing or disrobing gestures, such as strip teases.
You know,
and
apparently I need to get on Twitch. That's where all the fun is going to start happening.
popular dances such as twerking, grinding, pole dancing are now allowed without a label.
Have you seen? Speaking of dancing,
China has nothing to do with social media, guys.
No.
Nothing.
No,
Nothing to do with it.
The representative from TikTok came over here, testified in front of
Said
Congress
that
and
is
everything.
not the case.
That is not happening. And also, COVID did not come from that Wuhan lab in China.
No.
Nope. And Fauci had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, let's not spread any myths or disinformation.
Hey, have you seen the White House, Joe Biden?
I've heard you talking about it. I have not seen it yet.
Oh, you've got to see it. It is the funniest thing. Will you
I want
follow
to
me
hear
on
Brother Chris's take.
Yeah, no.
You know what?
I follow you on Twitter. It's the other way around. You don't.
Oh, for the love of
You
God.
don't follow me.
Every time Twitter comes up, it's nothing personal. You know, I think I tried to follow you. I can't figure out how to follow people on Twitter. Because I never follow people. People just follow
that's
me.
the excuse.
To be fair, that checks out also because Dan said to me, the other day, he was like, "Hey, we got to this is a couple weeks back. You know, hey, we need some help on the Super Talk Twitter. Tag Super Talk to help fill up the timeline." And I said, "It's not how it works, Dan. It's not going to fill up the Super Talk timeline." He's like, "Are you sure about that?"
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Yep.
Pretty sure about that.
So it is the bizarrest thing where just look me up on Twitter. You can see it.
Okay. At Dan Mandis Show.
At Dan Mandis Show. And you have drag queens and kings or whatever. They're in drag.
Are there drag kings?
And I don't know. Are there drag kings? Would a drag king be a woman who dresses as is there a drag king? Ken, is there Mason? You know everything. Is there a drag?
Don't go throwing that out there. I do not know everything.
Let's not say things we can't take back about Mason.
You know
what is this?
It is. They're trying to do the Nutcracker, and I tweeted it out, folks. So if you want to see it, go ahead.
I feel like a lot of these people couldn't pass a background check to get in the White House.
I don't know. Depends on which personality you check out. So
I like how it's the part of the video is the top is the Biden Christmas and then underneath is Melania's.
Yeah,
White
Melania,
House.
because remember when they attacked Melania for her Christmas celebration in the White House, and so it's like, what would you call that? The Biden's. It's like expressive dance kind of a thing, and they're trying to do the Nutcracker. One woman looks like she's actually barking at the camera. I just don't understand it.
I mean, this is the same administration that has topless TikTok influencers on the White House lawn.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
So,
yeah, checks out.
Checks out. It's the phrase.
So that's a new thing because you're throwing checks out at me, and I'm slowly but surely I'm beginning to understand what checks out means.
Yeah.
Which is it all just makes sense.
It makes sense.
Okay,
it tracks.
By the way, we're talking about man crushes.
Oh.
And one guy says, now, there is a caveat to the whole Dan has a crush on Hunter Biden discussion because I keep talking about Hunter Biden. Said person texted back and said, well, it's not just you, it's everybody.
We all have a man crush on Hunter Biden?
Yeah, because we're talking about
America has a man crush
America. Well, America doesn't. Well, you know what? Hunter Biden has a man crush on Hunter Biden. He's got a bunch of nude photos of himself. So clearly he's got something going on with himself. Anyway, moving on. So I don't know. I
thought the funniest thing from yesterday was like, they showed naked pictures of me at a congressional hearing. Have you no shame?
Yeah.
Says the man who takes naked pictures of himself smoking crack.
That was rich.
I don't know what everybody else did with Hunter's little speech yesterday. I know what we did live, Chris.
Yep.
But then this morning I took snippets and just commented because everything that he said, it's just such a layup, easy answer to. You know, the loving husband, father, and all these things. It's like, yeah, you slept with your brother's widow, your dead brother's widow, and I'm a loving husband. Really? Because you cheated on your wife. So, I mean, everything that he said was just so ridiculous.
Oh, that's what Democrats do. It's like that Virginia Democrat that was running for state Senate when she got busted for selling porn videos of herself online. She's like, it was an invasion of my privacy that they went and saw the videos I sold on the internet for everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The internet that's accessible by everyone.
All right, so you're a dog owner too, right?
Yes, I have 2 dogs.
So, what kind of dogs do you have?
Chocolate Lab and a King Charles Cavalier.
A what?
King Charles Cavalier. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I'd have to ask my
Mason, what do you have?
I don't have a dog at the moment.
All right.
I had one.
You couldn't make something up.
Thanks for participating, Mason.
I had a Great Pyrenees and a Lab mix a little
thank
bit
you.
ago.
Ken.
Got a little fat wiener dog.
All right. I don't even remember the kind of dog I have. He's a mutt and an idiot. Anyway, the 14 key characteristics of gifted dogs.
Gifted.
Now, here's how I know. Well, my dog is gifted, but in like an air quotes kind of way.
Yeah, he's
you know what
special.
I mean? Short bus kind of.
Yeah.
kind of way. Because he'll like perpetually. My dog will run into my back door because he thinks it's open, but it's clearly not. It's got slots on it. You know what I mean? But he just every day, it's almost like clockwork. He comes barreling into the back door thinking that it's open. So I know that my dog is not gifted, but he is air quoting gifted. How do you know that you've got a gifted dog? Well, number one, it was obtained from a breeder. Your dog's obtained by a breeder?
One of them.
Yeah, okay, very good. Lives with their owner from the age of 10 weeks or younger.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, checks out.
Checks out.
Can you listen to all this?
Yep.
Living in a single dog household. That's not you.
I'm out.
You're out. They say that lives with 2 adult caretakers, so it can't be a broken home, apparently. You need to have, 2 dog adult caretakers. Neutered or spayed? Where do you stand on that?
Fully intact.
Your dogs are not fixed?
No.
Really?
Couldn't bring myself to do it.
Why?
So I had a neighbor, and he's a smart guy, good guy. He said, "Oh, don't do that to Hank. I hear that dogs get depressed when you do that to them." And then I was like, "They do?" Like, I'm out.
I mean, I would too.
I can't do it to him. So yeah, he's
I don't know. I'm. 2024 is in my house. It's the year of the vasectomy. I don't plan on being depressed.
Are we still talking about the dogs?
No. No.
Well, I feel like we buried the lead.
No, trust me, nobody cares about my vasectomy.
Is that the New Year's resolution?
Actually, yeah.
What?
I'm 55. It's about time. Well, going to be 56.
Why don't you just wait and let nature take its course at this point?
Chris, I want a vasectomy. I don't want any oopsies.
All right.
Oopsies. No.
You know they don't always take.
Shut up, Chris. Anyway, that's it for me. What's coming up next?
Well, I don't know how we can follow the vasectomy news.
I know, right?
That's going to be leading in Weaver's newscast, I think.
Sure.
Let's cut right to the chase.
All right. Well, we're gonna cover Hunter Biden.
Good, Ken.
we're gonna cover obviously Hunter Biden. Everybody's reaction to the impeachment inquiry. Plus, we're gonna touch on the border, and I got some fun stuff for Christmas, like the latest FBI DHS warning.
Okay, there you go. 8:52 on WTN. Selling your home during the holidays can be stressful. It doesn't have to be. Dan Mandis here. Now, with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, you can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. So you can sell your home fast and make the most money this holiday season. You don't have to worry about the hassle of constant cleaning and making costly repairs. With the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, no showings, no open houses, and no stress. With over 10,000 five-star reviews, Mark Spain Real Estate is the most trusted and experienced real estate team in America. Their guaranteed offer keeps you in control. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home today. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD. 855-299-SOLD. For Mark Spain Real Estate, markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.